some not catching the beginning and then stepping into it late. That was as strange a first half maybe as I've seen in a long time. You probably heard it here on 97.5 The Fanatic. I don't know what that purported to be last night, but when it comes out in a positive fashion, I guess that's the bottom line. As you're trying to hold off from being in the play-in tournament and everything, there's some exciting stuff. Not what I expected to see, Bob. First of all, I did not expect to see a Sixers victory. And I did not expect to see a first half that looked like something out of maybe CYO in Delco.
Yeah, or 1980s basketball in a bad night. That was as ugly as it can get. But, hey, when you're Nick Nurse and you have this team presented in front of you,
yes,
which is just drastically changed from anything you thought it would be, maybe this is the way they have to win. A little bit ugly, or a lot bit ugly in last night's
That's a lot
case.
ugly.
Yeah.
That's nice, though. Nice win.
Hey, a win's a win, yeah, especially now.
Especially against a Knicks team that you're going to compete with down the stretch, trying to somehow manage to keep things afloat. I come in this morning to Bob in full transparency. I say, "Yo, Bob, what are you hearing? What are you hearing on this the whole Embiid thing? I'm interested to find out." And so I go out of the country for a week, and there's nothing.
They're waiting for you to get back, I think.
Oh, they are. They're waiting.
Yeah.
That's good. That was kind of them. Thank you to the Sixers for waiting.
So it should happen any day now.
What
Well,
the
the
hell's
weird
going
thing
on?
is, they're away again. You're back. You're staying in New York, so I don't know if they're going to make any announcement while they're up in New York. I don't know. I don't know why this hasn't been addressed. Is it good news? Everybody's speculating. Good news, bad news. If they're delaying, it's probably bad news. Or maybe he's just going to all of a sudden they're going to say, yeah, he'll be back next week. I don't know. I've reached out. Can't get anything. Nothing yet.
So you have you don't even have like a gut feel at all from anything? As to whether it's good or bad, leaning good or bad?
I can't imagine if they're sitting on good news, they're holding it.
That's what that is exactly what I think.
Yeah.
Good news is I think good news leaks before bad news. I always believe good news leaks before bad news.
Oh, I don't.
In this
really?
type of situation.
Oh,
yeah.
in this? Okay,
because
maybe.
usually teams are trying every single thing to come up with a reason not to have bad news. So it's like, well, no, we got a test tomorrow. We got one more MRI tomorrow. One more thing tomorrow. Let's hold off. It's not when it's good news. When it's like, man, he's looking great. He is looking great. He's feeling great. He's telling everybody that he's right. He's ready to bounce back. I'm waiting. I really am. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for something. I'm waiting for some glimmer of hope because it has been a bit crazy.
Yeah, I don't. What is he doing? If he was doing something, wouldn't we know? Now the team's away, so reporters, beat people aren't at the practice facility. Is Embiid there?
That's what I'm wondering.
Is he working out there now? We haven't heard anything when they were home for a little bit that oh yeah, he was at the practice facility. Now he was on the bench the other night. Appeared to be walking.
Appeared to be walking.
I don't know. You come home Saturday, you have a home game, and then Monday, and then it's a West Coast trip. You're away all this week. Another game in New York, at Milwaukee. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I mean, I'm going to reach out today and try to find out when an announcement might be made, but who knows?
I look at it as 8 seed is the 8 seed is the floor. I would guess. Being 5 games up on the Bulls, I don't think that the Bulls are anything that I'm sitting there saying the Sixers are going to worry about the Bulls where they're at with 18 games to play. I'm not expecting that the Bulls are making up 5 games in 18.
No.
Sixers have a nasty schedule.
They're going to fall somewhere between 4 and 8.
Whoa! You really do. You do believe 4 is still in the mix. You do.
No,
you do believe.
I really don't believe it. But
they're only a game back of the 4 spot.
Exactly.
But you're like, I look at that schedule and I'm only saying, I say 6, 7, 8 is Like 6 is the ceiling, 8 is the floor. That's where I'm
Probably.
looking at it right now, right where they're at.
Yeah, it's like I said to you before you went on vacation. They're going to be a play-in team. It's going to be a play-in tournament.
Well, I'm
I mean,
hoping
that's
for
just what it
6 so
is.
they can get a little time off, but I don't know. Maybe a little time to practice? Because Nick Nurse is getting screwed here a little bit. He is. I mean, all the excitement of Nick Nurse being here, it's a little bit screwed up because of the fact that this is just a mess. I just want information. And I know that the Sixers organization, Pat, is probably not where you go to get great information.
I mean, they just keep things tight to the vest, especially when it comes to Joel Embiid news. So I'm a little surprised we haven't gotten an update, but I'm actually leaning towards maybe that's not necessarily the worst thing in the world, because you're expecting the update to be nothing. So I'd rather be in a situation where I didn't get annoyed at an update that's nothing.
I just know during my time frame, and maybe this isn't a good reference being where they are now, but in my time frame, whether it was Nerlens Noel, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, Andrew Bynum, insert player here,
Right.
when there was a delay, when there was no news, it never
usually
turned
wasn't
out good news.
Well, it always sort of frustrates me that, Pat, you can predict the Sixers press release. I always find
Unfortunately.
that Pat usually can take the wording of a Sixers press release and give it to us.
Yeah, we
like
had
3 hours early.
We had Kate Scott on, Thursday, Pat?
Friday.
Friday. Asked
we did it
her.
for Thursday. We did it
Well,
for
it's
Thursday.
Yeah, and we asked her. We're like, what's the deal? Any rumblings like around? No, nothing. Nothing. All still hoping.
That's incredible to me.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
it's just odd. You said 4 to 6 weeks. We're going on 6 weeks now.
We're going on 6 weeks.
They did say they were going to have an update last week.
They did. I expected to come home to news of.
I think they were waiting for you.
You think it is?
Yeah.
Well, I've been home for a few days. They should have known I got through customs and everything and was managed to get in. So they did let me back in the country. 6 a.m. sponsors Bradford White Water Heaters. Bradford White is here for the pro. Pat, do you have that sound that Gunner got? Because I wanted Bob to hear this to start out his Monday. Because it's one of the things we talked about before I went on vacation, about the Phillies and the leadoff position and everything. And Rob Thompson was a guest on MLB Network Radio. And this is what he had to say about batting Kyle Schwarber leadoff.
The thing with Schwarber in the leadoff spot is that, he's really only leading off once a game. And our lineup's so deep. And we've got Marsh and Stott and some guys down in the order that get on base. So now you've got this power guy coming up in the leadoff spot with guys on base.
Robert Cooney, the floor is yours on that one.
Yeah, I mean, he's right. He does only lead off once a game. Then it's all shuffled around. It is so okay. Why do that then? Why lead him off why lead him off 25% of the time that he's up at bat? If you're talking about, it's a good thing that other guys, the Marsh and guys at the bottom of the order, they'll be on base. Okay, if you're making that your talking point, why not give them a chance to have guys on base every time up, as opposed to, 25% of the time that not happening?
His own logic hangs him. His own logic in that bit hangs him. Because it is not more likely that Bohm and Marsh are going to be on base than it is that Harper, Turner, and somebody else could be on base ahead of him. So the object, when you start with the gobbledygook of and Tyrone, happy birthday yesterday, by the way. I'm using his gobbledygook line. When he starts spitting out that gobbledygook, he hangs himself with his logic, because Turner and Harper are more likely to be on base than Bohm and Marsh. So if you're talking about the big SWAT is going to come with guys on base, I would think you'd want him on base with more logical guys to be on base in front of him.
Yeah, it just reeks of, I talked to him. He likes leading off, so I'm going to keep him there.
That's what it does. Reek is a good word.
Yeah.
It is a really good word of it. Because
we did an exercise the other day of what we thought the lineup was going to be. Not what we wanted, but what we thought Rob Thompson was going to do. And all three of us, me, Pat, and Brendan, said that Schwarber would be leading off. He's done it most of spring training, yeah, Okay.
I just think that Rob Thompson is setting what Rob Thompson wants to do.
Yeah,
And he's going to say he's going to go with the absolute, goes against any kind of statistical analysis of, well, if he bats leadoff, we win. And it is absolutely illogical because it takes every other variable out of it. So it's just like, well, this is the reason we win, because he bats leadoff. But when he explains his logic, again, when he explains it, there's no logic behind it. There's absolutely none, because that point right there does not make sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't. You're talking about guys being on base. Bohm and Marsh are not more likely to be on base than Turner and Harper. Period.
He does have the luxury of looking at it maybe for a month, and then you can plug in, you could plug in Turner, Stott, Harper, whoever you want as leadoff. You have that luxury. But he's set on this, and,
sure.
Okay.
It looks like it. 17 days to the opener. Pat, are you any closer to feeling that little flutter in your stomach?
No. Thank you for asking, though.
I'm just checking.
I appreciate it.
I didn't know if you're having a flutter.
No flutter
anything
here.
like that. No flutter at all?
No, not on, was it March 10th?
No. 11th.
11th? No.
It's getting closer, Pat.
No, I mean, it is. That's
2 weeks from Thursday.
It's cool. No flutter.
No flutter at all.
Flutterless.
2 weeks from Thursday.
Go Phillies.
Got your chance. Yeah, I like that, Pat. So we got that going for us. Hey, the Fanatic Knockout Tournament is back, by the way. You are going to have your opportunity to see the Sixers take on the Clippers on Wednesday the 27th and have a chance to battle with the Fanatic staff and others in a match of knockouts on the court. We will tell you your chance to win will come up later on in the show today during the 8 o'clock hour. So 8 o'clock hour today, your chance to win tickets to the game and a chance to participate in knockout coming up a little bit later on. That'll be great. All right, coming up, a second retirement rocks the Eagles. And its impact, it may be a whole lot less fanfare. John Kincade Show on The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
One all-time great hangs
FanFanaticBrightline.com.
Fanatic Mondays are presented by Pierce Phelps, Bryan Heating and Air Conditioning Contractors. Visit NoPayBryant.com. Get flexible spending options on a new heating and cooling system. So I missed the fanfare last week of the Jason Kelce retirement. It was all over the Dominican Republic, though.
I could imagine.
It was still on every monitor at the beach, at the pool bar, the beach bar, the lobby bar. Jason Kelce's face was everywhere.
Yeah, they were talking about it at the lounge.
The majority of the people did not know who he was at our resort. Probably around, Christine and I figured probably around 30, maybe 35% Americans. Mostly a lot of French speaking, a lot of Canadians. Now the Canadians knew who he was, but I did see that the Canadians don't really care about American football much.
No, did you
big
go around
Argos
and ask
fan.
everyone?
No,
Like,
they're
what?
just like there were the Jason Kelce's being talked about around they're putting up to Jason Kelce and everything, and they're like Travis's brother was the number one thing that people were saying. His brother dates Taylor Swift. That's what they knew about Jason Kelce. I'm like, are you kidding me? It's Jason Kelce, for God's sake. But they weren't very impressed. Really impressed. No, I tried to just Bob, stay in the pool, go walk along the beach, stay away from the world behind. But a championship level Hall of Fame player in Jason Kelce retiring is followed up by a championship level Hall of Fame player in Fletcher Cox retiring. Now, is the fanfare coming? Is he going to get because Fletcher Cox, his 12-year career, absolutely freaking exceptional. And I do believe he could come back this year for a variety of teams and still play at a high level. Talk about going out when you still got something left in the tank. Jason Kelce and Fletcher Cox both stepped away while they still had it. And that's something I'm going to remember about both of them. And I'm going to really miss Fletcher Cox.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about stuff left in the tank. You got two players that were Fletcher Cox was good for this team last year. Jason Kelce was still one of the best at his position last year.
Correct.
In all of the NFL. So you have a team that doesn't have much in the tank, especially those last 7 games, and you're losing 2 guys that do have something in the tank. Not a good week.
No, it doesn't
Not
sound
a
like
good week. No.
Doesn't sound like a good week. The question is, what does it say about the Eagles that both of these guys said, nah, I'm good. With a lot left in the tank, I'm good. I'm going to walk away and I'm going to retire. Because that is the story to me, Bob, is the idea that I think both guys looked at the mess that last year was and says, I don't want to live it again. That's just a gut instinct. If they thought this was going to be fixed, I think both guys would want to come back. If they thought this was going to be a fixed year, yeah, I think Sirianni's got a plan. I think Sirianni's going to be able to get that. I think the new coordinator's going to be able to make it work. I think both guys would have been able to be lured back for 1 year.
It is wondering why you have to wonder why, as soon as the game was over in Tampa, Kelce went to teammates and said, I'm done. And now Fletcher Cox comes out and said, yeah, I did the same thing. You would think if they weren't dead set on retiring that they would take some time. But it appears, maybe that season put them over the brink. Maybe this coaching staff put them over the brink. Maybe like you said, there was more to be done here than they were willing to put in. So, when guys put in that much time, I'm not going to deny them anything. You want to get out? Go
Absolutely.
ahead. Good for you.
I applaud both of the guys walking away while they still got it and are still a part of it. But I do believe that the fact that we now know, and we knew it from Adam Schefter in the beginning, I think Jason Kelce just wanted to control his own narrative of when he got out. These guys were done that Monday night in Tampa. And, Pat, many of us were done that night with that team, too.
I was done on that Monday night in Tampa.
Well, they were done with their careers, though. And to me, it tells me more about the Eagles than it does even about either one of these gentlemen. The idea that they said, nah, we're good. We're good. We're moving on. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I think they like Nick, but this to me also is kind of telling that they both decided, you know what, I'm all right. I think it tells you all you need to know about their thought process and the Eagles winning the Super Bowl next year. Because if they thought that the Eagles had a chance of winning the Super Bowl, I think they'd be back. Because they both have so much left in the tank. And because of the way that the season ended, because it was such a bitter taste in all of our mouths and they got hammered in Tampa, nobody wants to go out like that. But also, nobody wants to put their body through another offseason and another season. So I think they just weighed the pros and the cons, and they said, look, we're probably not good enough to win it next year. So, yeah, I'm done. I got my one.
By the way, I'm also with both of those guys, and I know it's not popular. Jason Kelce and Fletcher Cox's fingerprints were on that crime scene too, of what went down that stretch. They were critical parts of a 1-6 team that was rudderless in leadership and rudderless in passion, playing down the stretch. So let that not be that needs to be said too. That needs to be a line in the career exit that both of them were supposed to be veteran leaders on both sides of the ball, and nothing really to show for it at the end. And I know leadership. I don't even want to get you
No.
on that, but I mean,
it's okay.
They both are a part of it. They both were
Everybody's
absolutely
a part of it.
correct.
Everybody. You're a part of it, and you're a part of it.
No, we don't. Not to
were a
blame.
part
Stop
of
pointing
it.
fingers over here.
It was everywhere. You know how many times I've said point finger wherever you want. Yeah, they didn't do anything to turn it around. I don't know if it was a ship that was sailing one way and they were unable to turn it around, no matter how many leaders you had or who was steering the boat. It just all fell apart, and there was nothing anybody could have done. You can't convince me that, okay, let's get leaders here that come into the locker room and, tell the guys to start fighting better. Okay, I can fight as hard as I want. If I'm using one hand against a guy that has two hands, I ain't going to win. I feel that's how the Eagles were those last 7 games. They just weren't in the fight.
That's why the discussion of what are they going to do without the veteran leadership sort of falls on deaf ears to me a little bit, because whatever was going on, it wasn't working. Whatever veteran leadership was in that locker room was either not being listened to. And by the way, the veterans didn't play well either. So it's not like these guys were playing at a high level. Even Jason Kelce himself looked a little off, with some uncharacteristic penalties at strange times and things like that. Everybody looked a little off, and it was a dysfunctional mess, as Bob says. Point fingers anywhere you want, and you're going to hit somebody who's to blame for it. But to me, there's going to be a lot of talk of how do you replace that veteran leadership? And I'm like, I don't know.
It's funny.
I didn't see a ton of it last year.
Leadership is always really good when teams are playing well. Isn't that kind of funny?
It seems like a big talking point.
Yeah,
when they are,
he's a great leader when the team's 14-3. But when the team loses 7 of the last 8, there's no talk of leadership.
It is. It's always
isn't it?
It is. It's always a discussion point.
Yeah.
As far as leadership tends to be something that's discussed when the team is doing well. And look, I can tell you this, to me, Jason Kelce is a transcendent figure in the city. But to me, Fletcher Cox was every bit, if not better, every bit the player for this Eagles franchise.
Yeah,
amazing talent.
It's an interesting talking point that you brought up. Like, who was better for this team? Now, Fletcher Cox was named to the All-Century team, or Decade team, rather. I don't know if Jason Kelce was or not, because Jamie and I talk about this a lot. Better for the team. It is a good talking point. They were both great.
They were both spectacular.
They were both great, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Pat going into the ice cream shop. There's the
Rocky Road and mint chocolate chip. It's
okay,
like, where
so
can you go wrong?
They're both great.
Yeah.
They're both fantastic.
Just lucky to have both available.
But I think that all the fanfare last week is about Jason Kelce retiring. I think Fletcher Cox had every bit the Eagles' career.
He did. Jason Kelce did more to endear himself to the fan base than Fletch.
Amen.
I think that's a huge, huge, huge part of it. And it wasn't just the speech; it was the stories that you hear. And there's nothing against Fletch. I mean,
no, absolutely.
But one I felt like kind of did more than the other to become a Philadelphian, and the other guy was just a really, really good ball player. And I'm thrilled that both of them, I had the chance to watch both their careers, but I'm not surprised that more people were upset with Jason Kelce, because I think more people that were Eagles fans felt like Jason Kelce was one of them, whereas Fletch, a little more standoffish, and you didn't hear from him as much, and he was just a quiet, reserved guy. So, but just different personalities.
And so I ask you the next question. That's the next logical question. Which one of them is easier to replace in the short term as far as impact? And I'm not talking about their impact as leaders. I'm talking about production on the field. Are you more confident they'll replace Kelce, or are you more confident that they can replace Cox and his production? Because for me, it's an easy answer. I do believe that it's Fletcher Cox where they will be able to find the production, that they will be able to have that. And they should, by the way, with what they've invested in.
Yeah, I mean, Jason Kelce went out as one of the top 3 still at his position. So that's kind of tough. Fletcher Cox was one of the top 3 on this team, not at his position. You know what I mean? So his contribution was good this year, but it was good for a 35-year, whatever he is, 34-year-old backup. I mean, that's how we have to look at it. He might have been one of the Eagles' best defensive linemen among a group of defensive linemen that weren't very good this year. They didn't get to the quarterback. They weren't overwhelming in their play. You had a rookie that was good for 6-7 games, really good, and then fell off the face of the earth. A second-year guy that disappeared once he fell to the ground trying to get Josh Allen on a scramble. Fletcher Cox was steady this year, which made him probably the best defensive lineman on the Eagles. Nowhere close to being one of the best in the league. Jason Kelce was.
The connection, though, as Pat points out, the connection to this city that Jason Kelce had, absolutely ridiculous. It's weird to me, though, Pat, that I put the value of it is like the feels. Jason Kelce gets the feels.
Yeah.
But Fletcher Cox, to me, just gets ultimate respect. Just because I think he was one of those guys that you just sort of penciled in your brain and went, okay, we're fine. Fletcher Cox is here, and he's still playing in his prime.
Yeah, he was steady Eddie. He was just that steady guy you didn't need to worry about, and he was just very, very consistent. And it's one of the reasons why he's going to end up in Canton. I mean, the fact that the Eagles lost 2 guys this offseason that are going to end up in Canton sucks, but it also speaks to just how good that the drafting process was for those teams, and how good that those 2 players were. I mean, you don't see a lot of teams in the same offseason lose 2 Canton-bound guys, and unfortunately the Eagles did.
2 of the guys who publicly said in a group of how many, there was a little more than a handful of players who came out publicly singing the praises of Nick Sirianni. 2 of them are gone.
Yep.
2 of the guys who spoke out publicly were like, look, Nick Sirianni's under siege. And he didn't have, I don't believe you can find 8 players that were like just gushing about, hey, Nick Sirianni, man, here's what I got it. 2 of them are gone. And Brandon Graham is back.
Yeah, he is.
He's back.
He's back.
So there's 3 of the guys who were like, yeah. Now, I don't know if they were just deciding to be the spokespeople for the locker room on behalf of Nick, but Jalen Hurts had multiple opportunities to do it and passed. Completely passed the first time. Second time, literally said something that you might say about a review of, what do you think of your dry cleaner? The same type of, yeah. How do you feel about your dry cleaner? Yes.
Well, when he's good, yeah, I'd say he's good. When things aren't going good, I probably wouldn't talk about my dry cleaner. I would just change it, and nobody would have to know. Yeah, I mean, not saying anything about your coach on the good side, why would you? Why would I say anything good about anybody on that team if you're being honest, after the way they finished the season? I mean, it was
ugly.
horrible.
Yeah, it was terrible.
It was gross. They were the worst team in football. That's bad. You were 10-1. You had an MVP candidate. You were considered the best team in football. And in my opinion, you finished as the worst team in football. That's not good. So heaping praise upon anyone, nah, I ain't doing it. Sorry, not doing it. I understand it.
These guys all lined up to do it, though. These 3. One of them gets a new deal, and the other one gets a Brandon Graham back at $4 million. I'm okay with that. I mean,
yeah,
$4 million
bucks, nothing. Yeah.
$4 million for Brandon Graham. He wants to play another year. And Pat, that's the minute that I heard Brandon Graham at the end of that Tampa game. I want to play one more year. After that immediately I knew a deal would be done, and it would be done with the Eagles.
The Eagles weren't going to let him walk, and I think he's made it known that he's made enough money, so he'll take a team-friendly deal. And
$4 million, certainly, right?
He's going to basically end up being Hugh Douglas when he came back that final year. He's kind of going to just control the locker room, hopefully, and be a positive influence on guys, and be that fun beacon that you enjoy seeing coming to work. So for $4 million, yeah, why not? Plus, their defensive end room sucks. They need some vet in there that can teach these guys what to do.
It's got to clean up, and we'll have more on discussion of Vic Fangio and the fallout from these moves and otherwise coming up on the show this morning. What went down Saturday night with John Tortorella in that Tampa game, I know I'm not supposed to love it, but I loved it. You're not supposed to love it when your coach sort of loses his freaking mind and gets kicked out of the game and then refuses to refuses to leave the bench. But the officiating was horrendous, and John Tortorella literally just lost his mind on a public stage in defense of his players, and I loved it. Pat, I'm not supposed to love that, though. Am I?
No, I loved it.
So you are supposed to love it?
Yeah, it's a 4-0 game. They're not going to win it, and he showed some emotion. That's fine. Now in a 2-1 game, it's one thing. You can't lose your cool. In a 4-0 game, you're getting hammered anyway. So to me, there's just no downside to it. And he loses his cool and shows some emotion and shows it's not good enough. And I just think that sets a tone and an energy for this team that normally it's like 4-0 game. All right, pack it in. And he's still, it doesn't sit well with him. He's pissed off, and he should be pissed off, and the team should be pissed off. So if I'm a player on that team and I'm losing 4-0 and there's a bad call and my coach just goes, all right, whatever. I mean, that kind of sends a message to the team. But in a 4-0 game, if there's a bad call and my coach is losing his mind, it kind of tells me all I need to know about what that guy's mindset is about winning.
I loved it. That he did it, even though I think it's classic Torts. He was absolutely frenetic there on the bench. But to me, the message was as much to the officials as it was to his young team. I got your backs. He loves this team. No matter how much he grouses about them at times or, really will ride a player hard, he loves that group of players. And that showed me that the other night.
I think he does. I didn't take it that way so much. I took it that he lost it. I don't think it was thought out. I don't think it was hey, we're down 4-0. What can I do to show these guys? I don't know. Maybe he wanted to go join the guys that he won the cup with a little early and grab a drink or something because they were honoring them that night, and they were all up in the press box. And maybe he said, you know what? It's probably better up there than it is here. Let me get thrown out of this game. Yeah, I just think he lost it. I really do. And pissed off. And,
losing his mind a little bit.
Yeah, and, he's been riding that even keel all season long, which isn't like him. So, it all boiled up. He got it out. He got thrown out. I don't know if I've ever seen an NHL coach get thrown out of a game before.
I know I have. I can't remember.
I don't remember.
I know one. I have. I can't remember it, though. There was a benches event between teams one time that the coaches got involved with where I believe I saw a coach get kicked off. But I look at it right down the stretch here. Here's where my concern is, and Pat, it's probably too much of a concern. It's probably thinking too much. But you got San Jose and Toronto this week at home, and you want to grab points in both of those games against those teams in your building. And without John Tortorella, it just bothers me a little bit.
I wouldn't be too bothered with it.
Well, San Jose, I'm not as worried.
San Jose is horrible.
They're terrible.
Yeah, they're trash, and they just traded probably their best player. I wouldn't be worried about that one. Toronto can score, but they have no goaltending and no defense. So they can score, but that's kind of the mark of this John Tortorella team is they don't really allow you to get good shots off, and they kind of shut you down. So I don't see that going away in a 2-game stretch. I think you'll be all right. I don't know if you'll win both games, but you'll be in both games. You'll make it competitive. If you end up going 0-2, it's a disappointment because you are playing a bad San Jose team. But I don't see Toronto going in and scoring 4 or 5 goals. I'd be kind of floored if that happens, just because that's not the mark of this Flyers team this season.
Now you watch the Islanders, by the way, if you are checking the standings. They closed to within 2 points last night with a big victory. But the Islanders still, the rest of the way out, have got a really, really sort of weird the way the schedule breaks out for them. Pat, they play the Rangers 3 times down the stretch, which the Flyers, of course, only have the 1 game with the Rangers. They got to play the Rangers 3 times. They have to still do that Florida-Tampa trip that the Flyers just did. They have to do that again coming up in 2 weeks. So even though the Islanders have pulled now to within 2 points of the Flyers, they've got a nasty schedule coming up.
They do, yeah. It's going to be really tough for them. They do look like they have new life under Patrick Waugh.
They do.
They added a little bit at the deadline. I wouldn't be too worried about it because that stretch, but it's not like the Flyers stretch is going to be easy.
No, Flyers doesn't look good either.
No, but I would agree that the Islanders stretch is much harder.
Now the Caps are about to fall out of it. Just of those of you who
the Caps are done.
The Caps are just about to fall out of it. They are still within striking distance of the Flyers and the Islanders. But
no, they sold at the deadline. They're done.
Yeah, but they're going right now on their road trip. Winnipeg, Edmonton, Seattle, Vancouver, Calgary.
Yeah, they're done.
5-game road trip. So Caps are about to fall. It looks like the Devils have fallen off too, right?
Yeah.
Or is it too early on the Devils?
No, they're out.
Yeah, they're
the
out.
Devils are out
They
too.
fired the coach. They have no goaltending. They have no defense.
So
They're
if the Devils and the Caps are out, then even if the Flyers fall out, then you're just worried about battling Tampa and Detroit for the wild card. That's pretty much where you're at. So even if the Islanders somehow manage to get ahead of the Flyers, then you're looking at one of the 7 or 8 seeds as a wild card, and you just got to beat out Tampa or Detroit. You're tied with Tampa now. You're 2 ahead of Detroit. And Detroit's got a nasty schedule, too. They also have to do that Florida-Tampa trip coming up that they've still got on their schedule. So hopefully they can find a way to some losses there. So Flyers hockey, you'll catch it right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. So plenty of opportunity to get in on that, too. Bob saw some eyeballs, and they got him excited. John Kincade Show on The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Cox out, I'm Pat Egan. This sports update is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save nearly $750 on average. Call or click today and find out if they could save you hundreds on your car insurance. There's a lot of Eagles news this weekend as one all-time great returns, another one hangs it up. Defensive end Brandon Graham will be back with the Birds for his 15th season, but it will also be his final season. He signed a 1-year deal to return. While Brandon Graham is back, Fletcher Cox is not. Fletcher Cox announced his retirement yesterday. Cox was a 6-time Pro Bowler, first-team All-Pro, and a Super Bowl champion. Now, news also came out over the weekend that the team is fielding offers on defensive end Josh Sweat. This is the same team that is allowing edge rusher Hassan Reddick to seek a trade, but Derek Gunn said he'd be shocked to see both of them go.
You know, I can't see them letting both of these guys just walk. I think they're going to stack the pluses and the minuses of letting one or the other get away based on whatever offers they're getting out there, and maybe let one get away at the most. But both of them, I'd be shocked if they let both of them get away.
That full interview is available now on 97.5thefanatic.com. Now, the Sixers, they picked up a win last night. They defeated the Knicks 79-73. The team will look to make it 2 in a row against the Knicks in March as they have to head up to New York again to face them Tuesday night. Flyers are off today as they prepare to face the Sharks on Tuesday, and when they do, they'll be without head coach John Tortorella, who was suspended 2 games after yelling at an official. I'm Pat Egan. Breaking news all day, every day is here. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Fletcher Cox, a 6-time Pro Bowler defensive tackle for the Eagles, has announced his retirement. We are talking about it all day. Philadelphia's station for breaking sports news. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Bidding farewell to winter is like a breath of fresh air. And speaking of fresh, our preferred pros are ready to bring a renewed sense of excellence to your doorstep. With spring just around the corner, now is the perfect time to spruce up your home and get a head start on your projects. And who better to help than our trusted group of preferred pros?
Leaky pipes? Cold showers? Hutchinson Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing offers affordable 24-hour emergency plumbing solutions, same-day water heater installs, and lowest-cost drain clearing.
Treat yourself to a day of relaxation at Joseph Anthony in Glen Mills, Springfield, and Center City, Philadelphia. The ultimate destination for all things beauty and wellness.
The Closet Works is dedicated to giving you the highest quality product at the most affordable price. Experience the difference. Schedule a free design consultation at closetworksinc.com.
Check out Preferred Pros today. This paid program is sponsored by businesses highly rated by actual customers. For more details, visit 975thefanatic.com.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Minimum purchase required. Interest accrues from date of purchase but is waived if paid within promotional period. Go to windowappointmentnow.com for full offer details.
Attention homeowners. Do you know when to replace your windows? Feeling too hot or cold? Fog between the glass? Spending too much on expensive energy that literally goes out the window? It's time to replace. And right now you can get a free in-home window consultation and free price quote from Renewal by Andersen. Plus with our March 31-day sales event, you can save $377 off every window and $777 off every door when you buy 4 or more units. Just text FRONT to 200-300 for your free consultation on top quality affordable windows or patio doors for no dollars down, no monthly payments, and no interest for a year. That's right, you don't pay a dime for an entire year. Text FRONT to 200-300 to save $377 off every window and $777 off every door when you buy 4 or more units. Hurry, this incredible 31-day sales offer is only in March. Text FRONT to 200-300. Text the word FRONT to 200-300. FRONT to 200-300.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same. But at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different? How? You sell high commission investment products, right?
No. Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission-based investment products.
Well, you must earn commissions on trades.
Nope, never at Fisher. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in our client's best interest. It's the highest standard of care for a financial advisor.
How do you know what's in their best interest?
We get to know our clients and then tailor a portfolio based on their goals and needs.
But you probably sneak in some hidden and layered fees.
No, we have one transparent management fee, structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, you really do look out for your clients.
That's because our top priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. It might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments and securities involve the risk of loss.
That is a towering drive. It's going.
That's gonna leave a mark.
Delman Brand.
The crowd is already calling for the rookie.
No way. They're calling for a true veteran, Rand Spear, the accident lawyer.
I heard he's been going to bat for the injured for over 30 years.
If you're injured, don't settle for less. Call 1-800-90-LEGAL or start your claim online for free at randspear.com.
There are any number of reasons you might consider selling your home. To move closer to family, live within a smaller budget, or just wanting a change of scenery. Whatever your reasons, having to figure out all the various housing market trends in your area may not be what you signed up for. That's where an agent who is a realtor comes in. Realtors have the expertise to help you find the right price and navigate the process to sell your home in a way that's right for you. That's who we are. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors.
Why do I go to Meineke? Because they offer same-day service. And with my busy schedule, I need my car to keep running safely.
Why do I go to Meineke? Because I get the best price for my auto repairs, and they fix everything.
Whatever your reason may be, regular maintenance, tires, brakes, batteries, exhaust systems, and more. Trust your Delaware Valley Meineke with over 50 years of doing total car care right. And for the best price.
You ever heard of naloxone?
Naloxone? No.
Me neither, until last night at that party. Someone yelled Jen overdosed. A guy ran up and put this spray in her nose. It was naloxone. Saved her life.
Wow. Sounds like having naloxone around is a really good idea.
Right? And anyone can get it for free at most pharmacies in New Jersey. No questions asked.
I'm definitely checking this out.
Visit stopoverdoses.nj.gov to see how you can get naloxone free from the New Jersey Department of Human Services.
FanDuel, in partnership with Valley Forge, is putting the ball in your court for the rest of the NBA season. Because right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 if your bet wins. Bet on the NBA with a wide range of betting types. You got quick bets, live same-game parlays, player props, a whole bunch of stuff. What we like to do here is you pick a player, right? You get an over-under on combination of points, rebounds, and assists, and you run with that. You can do it with the local team if you want. So visit FanDuel.com/Bob and make your first bet a layup. That's FanDuel.com/Bob and make every moment more. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. 21 plus and present in Pennsylvania. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
WPEN and WPEN HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studios, powering possibilities. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com. The John Kincade Show with Bob Cooney and Pat Egan continues. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Bob saw eyeballs, and they made him very excited. Whose eyeballs are you worried about, Bob?
I like eyeballs.
You do? You like a good blue eye, or are you a brown-eyed girl guy, or are you like, what is it?
I don't know. Never really dove into what kind of eyes I like.
Well, I was wondering when I saw this, something that was intriguing. I was like, okay, Bob's all excited about eyeballs.
So somebody put out in the Twitterverse that Blake Snell, Phillies, eyeballs. Interesting.
I don't think he...
Interesting.
He put eyeballs, right, Pat? I mean, is that the way to depict it?
It's like saying, look.
He's saying, look.
I like the Phillies. Look.
But is it look I like the... Because there's been all the fake Blake Snell stuff that people put out there,
this was
too.
his real eyeballs. These are his eyeballs. I was just surprised at my reaction when I saw it. Real, not whatever. When I saw it, I was just like, yeah, I want that dude here.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'll take 6 innings of that, of left-handed pitching that seems good. I know it's been up and down, but he's a Cy Young Award winner. I'll take that absolutely. And Taijuan Walker took the mound for the first time this weekend after battling a little bit of knee problems. I'll take that guy as a starter on this team. It's the move. I found out from myself this weekend I wanted more than I even realized. I saw the eyes. I saw the Phillies. I saw Blake Snell. I see him. I really want him coming here.
Okay, look, Bob, you have just taken the stance that if there's anybody in Philadelphia that would argue with this stance, I'd be shocked. Because it appears, if you're reading the tea leaves of the Major League Baseball insiders, this is going to end up being a short-term type thing for Snell. I have no idea why, of a player of his caliber, why he would end up signing a small, short-term deal, Pat. But if it's going to be a short-term investment, I don't see any reason where anybody could have an issue with this.
No, I don't think anyone would have an issue. I just think it's unfortunate that Blake Snell's going to cost you a lot in terms of the compensation you have to give up, because he was offered the arbitration, or not the arbitration, he was offered, it was a
qualifying offer,
the qualifying offer. He was tendered a contract, so he's going to cost you draft picks and international bonus money. I don't know if teams are wanting to give that up, and he's the guy that apparently will take a short-term deal, whereas Jordan Montgomery wants a longer-term deal, and the Phillies aren't going to be interested in a longer-term deal. They want a shorter-term deal, so... I mean, we're sitting here on March 11th, and these two guys aren't signed. Every day that goes by, it just seems more and more likely that eventually somebody in the Phillies goes, all right, can we upgrade? Is it going to be cheap? All right, let's do it.
17 days to opening day. I mean, it really is. And I know that Pat likes to wait a little bit, to get his juices flowing for opening day. But to me, when we're talking about it now being almost within 2 weeks, I'm feeling it. And I'm there. And I don't understand. Something's telling me that this is a negotiating ploy. That they're playing. I have a feeling they're playing multiple teams against each other. Because I do not believe that there would be a way that Major League Baseball clubs would go, wait a minute. There's a short-term deal available with Blake Snell? Sign me up. I think he's trying to get the best deal possible. This thing's got to come down soon.
Yeah. Time's running out. I mean, he's probably already going to miss a couple of starts to begin the season, which maybe takes that 5 1/3 innings, those extra 20 outs that Aaron Nola got over Blake Snell over a full season. Maybe you make them up, because I know that's such a talking point that, oh, my God, the guy only went 5 2/3 innings. So he'll miss a couple of starts. Okay. He's not starting 32 games. He's going to start you 28, 29. If it bothers you so much that he only goes that many innings, maybe he goes 6 1/3, just like Aaron Nola did. So maybe you're getting that, workhorse guy that you're looking for. I would just love to see him in here. Left-hander, nasty stuff. He is up and down. But okay, you have 3 starters that you're really comfortable with. Add another guy, especially a lefty, I'm good to go.
If he comes in, I will say it now, because after a week of reflection on a lounging couch by the pool, I'll say it now. If they sign Blake Snell, I will call Phillies NL East champions for 2024. If they made an addition like that, I believe that would be enough, because I'm this close. I'm this close to just saying it now. But I'm still sort of riding that fence, as I know the Braves and the Phillies will both be playoff teams, but will the Phillies have enough to push them out of a 162? That is a move, Pat, that I think could do it. I really do. I think that's the move that could push the Phillies into division champions, because I think they might win it anyway.
And, Pat, tell John who we have to thank if they sign Blake Snell.
Who's that?
Who do we have to sign?
Who called for it last week? Remember, it was a talking point on this very show.
I wasn't really paying attention last week.
Bryce Harper. GM Bryce Harper.
Oh, GM Bryce Harper called for it? He did?
Yep.
He kind of called for it.
He said we have 3 great starting pitchers in what did he call them? Wheels and Knowles and Ranger, and then there's 2 other guys still out there that can be gotten.
He really said that?
Yeah.
Huh?
Oh, yeah.
Not wrong.
How do you think Taijuan Walker
I don't
feels
give a
about
rat's
that?
ass. He's got $17 million, and he can barely get on the mound.
No, but I mean, seriously, what do you think about that? If you're...
Oh, we talked about it a lot last week. We loved it.
You love that?
You go, Bryce. Hey, he's batting 1,000 as a GM. Go get him, Bryce.
Well, that's
look.
I'm more saying about you're calling out.
Yeah,
calling out other teams.
Who cares though? Like,
okay.
in all honesty, like Taijuan Walker, if you're gonna get upset, look in the mirror, bud. You're overpaid. You're getting $17 million, and you're not losing your rotation spot, because they're not signing both the guys. They signed one of the guys.
No, I
so
get
you
that
get bumped down to the 5th star spot. And Christopher Sanchez, I like you, and you were cheap, but you also have to admit, like, these 2 guys are better than me. So I wouldn't take offense to it, but if Taijuan Walker would take offense to it, bud, look at your ERA. Look at their ERA. Like, there's a disconnect here. So I didn't have a problem with it necessarily, because I think the self-realization is that, they're better than you.
Yeah, I think they are better. I just wonder why you desire to say we got 3 great pitchers on the team. You sort of pump up your teammates, I would think, is that really doesn't pump it up. That doesn't.
You go, Bryce. Hey, you got Trey Turner here. You re-up JT Realmuto. All right, good. You haven't been busy the last couple of years. Now he wants Blake Snell. You go, Bryce.
GM Bryce Harper backed off his contract, wanting a new contract too, his extension.
No, he still wants one, but it's not first and foremost.
But last week he didn't talk about that, right? He's moved on from that, because I have a feeling he's heard the crickets from John Middleton and the brass.
I think they're talking to his agent. I think he's staying out of it. He said, I just want to play baseball. Yeah, we'll get something done down the road. Not concerned about it.
Yeah, I'm glad we
know your hate for Bryce Harper.
Glad the GM's on. Hey, GM Bryce Harper's not my favorite. I will absolutely.
He brought you in Trey Turner. He got you JT Realmuto re-upped. What don't you like about him?
I'm going to tell you that I said the Trey Turner you see a hell of a lot more out of. I saw 2 months.
One of the best hitting shortstops in baseball.
Would you rather have Didi Gregorius back? We can get.
No,
he's
I would
available.
not. Pat,
we can get him.
Pat, if you don't, I don't like your tone.
We can get him cheap.
I don't like your tone, and I don't like that threat.
He's got nothing going on.
But I've not seen. I'm hoping that we see
still out there.
I'm hoping we see the Trey Turner that we thought we were buying. And not the worst fielding shortstop in the game. I'm hoping we
I'll
see
take
that
Trey
too.
Turner at shortstop over pretty much anybody in baseball, and you would too.
Wait a minute. At shortstop,
John,
fielding the
if
position?
somebody said to you, here's the 5 best shortstops in baseball, going into last season, you wouldn't have had Trey Turner as one of them?
No, last year I did, but I didn't after watching it.
Oh, like him bringing Trey Turner in here, he didn't have as good a year as he should have last year. Is that going to make you say it was a bad move for the Phillies to get him?
No, I didn't say it's a bad. What I'm saying to you is I want to see better because he was the worst fielding shortstop in the game.
And as Tim Kirkchin sat here, right here, and said to you, he'll be fine. And he was for the rest of the year.
What does it have to do with fielding? He was the worst fielding shortstop in the game.
Okay, is he one of the best shortstops in baseball?
At the plate?
Do you want one of the best? If you're labeling the 5 best shortstops in baseball, is Trey Turner not one of them?
Last year, he was not.
If you're labeling the 5...
No, last year, he was not. All I'm caring about is last year, what I saw. I said to you, all my statement is I sure as hell want to see a better performance out of Trey Turner this year than I saw last year. I saw 2 months at the plate, and I saw the worst fielding shortstop in the game.
I'll take Trey Turner on my team as a shortstop anytime, and if anybody says to you, if you want one of the best shortstops in baseball, Trey Turner's right up there.
I believe I'll tell you that I believe within a few years, with a ton of years left on the contract, they will be saying, where will you move him to? Does he move to second base? Because I don't believe you see a drop. Can he be better this year at short? I certainly hope so. But usually when you start...
the least of my worries on this Phillies team is Trey Turner.
The least?
One of the least worries of my on this team is Trey Turner. I don't like that they have 2 slap hitters in center field and in left field. The bullpen, who's going to be your closer? I don't know about you guys, but Trey Turner is way towards the bottom of worries on my list.
I would say at $330 million... We should never have an issue. That should never have been. There shouldn't be any issue about any part of your game when you're that player.
I don't have one.
You don't have any issue about the worst fielding shortstop in the game. And you don't that doesn't even concern you. That's just a blip.
No.
A blip.
I think it's a blip.
It's a that's a crazy blip.
I don't think he's going to be the worst fielding shortstop in the game. I just don't.
Do you think he's going to be a good shortstop fielding?
I don't know if he's going to be good. I think he'll be adequate. I think he worked so hard last season to get back to where he was at the plate that he probably ignored fielding during the season. And I think we're going to be back to seeing the normal Trey Turner that we kind of thought we were going to get to see last season when they signed him.
If he's adequate at short, but he's great at the plate, I don't give a damn.
Yeah, I think
that I don't give a damn about.
I think it's going to be a lot like Castellanos. Like, Castellanos wasn't good in the field, and
he worked at it, though.
And he did. He
really
at
did.
it.
He worked at it big time.
And Trey came out and said, this past this offseason, he said, his fielding sucked last year, and he's making adjustments and trying to improve in that area this offseason because he knows that it wasn't good enough. So I'd be kind of floored if we saw that Trey Turner that we saw last season.
Give me adequate defense with exceptional at the plate. I don't give one flip. Then I'd be fine. I'm in Bob's camp then. Then I have no problem. But I can't have inadequate defense and inadequate at the plate. Can't have that 2 years in a row. So hopefully that'll be something that we see out of Trey Turner down the line. The 7 a.m. hour brought to you by the all-new BetParx app. It's always all new because they're always changing stuff up. And now the college tournament's coming up in a week. Hey, sportsbook and casino in one sleek, easy-to-use app in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. So we get the story this weekend that not only is Hassan Reddick on the trade opportunity to seek a trade, but Josh Sweat is also, the Eagles are also hearing about what people are willing to offer for Josh Sweat. So immediately the Twitterverse shrieking with, oh my God, they're going to trade both of them. How are they going to do this? Oh my gosh. This, another classic negotiating ploy, seems like whether Hassan Reddick is getting the deal he wants out there. The Eagles have let it be known reportedly what they take in a deal, what they're looking for in recompense. If you want to sign Hassan Reddick, they're willing to trade him. But the idea that they would trade Reddick and Sweat, I will tell you right now, 0% chance of happening. I do not believe for 1 second that the Eagles are trading both Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat. I believe that they are using this as leverage to get one of them at a great deal. One of them at a good price that they want their price. And that is where I think this is going.
Huh. That hadn't crossed my mind a little bit. So you think they're throwing that out there to
say, we'll move on from both of them. Yeah, we're going to move on from both of them. We're willing to do this. They may not have the soft landing that they think. We're willing to move off on both of them. Let's talk about, we like both players. We've let it be known. They gush about Hassan Reddick. They don't gush about Josh Sweat, and that's deservingly so. They shouldn't gush publicly about Josh Sweat. But Hassan Reddick, they have gushed about what kind of a great player he is and everything like that, and fans love him and everything. I think they want them both to know, look, we'll move on if we have to. We'll talk to teams. We'll let it be known because you guys we've made what we consider to be legit, and I do believe they've offered Josh Sweat and his camp. Let's talk about numbers, too. They would be reckless if they haven't talked to his camp about what he'd be looking for in a contract. That would be absolutely reckless if they haven't discussed it.
Oh, sure.
And they probably don't think that Sweat's in a logical position either as far as what he's asking for.
Yeah, I was saying last week, I think Howie's sitting back with his feet up on the desk and just like, okay, we can talk about numbers all you want. You're still under contract.
Both of you.
Yeah. So you're still under contract. You'll both be here playing next year for the money that we're paying you. And maybe we're okay with that. Maybe after that we'll move on, or we'll listen to compensation for you. But we're expecting really, really high compensation, and nobody's offering us that. So sorry, guys, you're under contract. Get out there and play. I think Howie's they're in the best spot here.
I say 0% they would trade both guys. I think that was a whole nothing burger of a report. I do not believe they are moving on from both players. They have both players under contract. There's zero reason that they would trade both of them.
Yeah, part of me was wondering, did Vic Fangio come in here and say, what do you guys think you have there? Like, I need playmaking linebackers, and we need we'll get people to rush the quarterback, and that. But that's what my first thought was. Like, is he coming in and having some say in this? I don't know. I don't know exactly where they're going with it's weird that there's so much turmoil with this defense when the defense is what you needed to fix the most. And it seems like, okay, it was falling apart, shored up. It's not getting shored up. It's kind of, pieces are still falling all over the place. I don't know where it's going to go, but it better go somewhere pretty quickly.
Gut instinct, Pat Egan. If I said to you, Reddick is gone, Sweat is gone, neither is gone, what's your gut instinct on the pair?
I think Reddick's back. I think Sweat's probably gone.
So you do believe they would move Sweat?
Yeah.
I believe Reddick is back, Sweat is back. Reddick on a new deal, Sweat on the last year of his contract. No extension. That's how I think this will play out. I don't think they're going to throw Josh Sweat they got him under contract. There's zero reason for them to say that. And Josh Sweat, he can't sit out. I keep hearing people say that too. What if he sits out? He can't sit out. The NFL Players Association, he can't afford to sit out. They could bankrupt him as far as his contract.
Yeah.
So that's not happening.
The Josh Sweats in this league are probably a dime a dozen. Did he benefit from having a great defensive line last year? Probably. Has he exceeded expectations after he was drafted? What round was he drafted, Pat? Third? Fourth? Has he exceeded that?
I do believe he maybe has exceeded a fourth-round pick.
Well, just the way you said it. He maybe has exceeded that. Like, that's not like glowing praise, right? So, he is what he is. And, yeah, I would, if I were Howie, sure. We'll talk about it after the season. Let's see what kind of season you have.
Every season of his career, every season of his Eagles career, he pretty much goes half of the year without a sack in a row. Not where it's two games here, 2 games there, 3 games there. He literally goes for stretches where he disappears. The invisible man, not able to be found. And there'd be no way if I'm the Eagles that I'm going, man, I got to make sure I get Josh Sweat signed up and under contract here. And I also, Pat, I would have zero issue with bringing back Hassan Reddick to play the last year of his contract before I'd ever trade him. And
I'm not trading him. Just not. I'm not even entertaining trading Hassan Reddick.
I would trust his professionalism. The Hassan Reddick, I would trust his professionalism.
Yeah, me too. He kind of showed that last season. He could have made this about himself, and he hasn't. So, but he's also extremely productive. Josh Sweat, as you said, he can kind of go through those stretches and whatnot. So, I'm cool if they trade Josh Sweat. I'm blown away that it's gotten to this point where, and I tweeted out this weekend, I got dragged for it because I think people thought it was gospel, but like the Eagles are letting their only two competent defensive ends, seek trades and fielding offers and stuff.
Market,
yeah,
right.
I jokingly said they're going to treat defensive end like they've treated the linebacker, and as I said, people just took it as gospel. No, I don't think that they're going to ignore a position for the next 40 years, but it's like you literally have two guys on your roster who can get to the quarterback, and both of them, it's probably is a negotiating ploy, but it's still not a negotiating ploy I like to see played out in public, and unfortunately it is. So, I mean, hopefully they both are back. I'd be fine with that, but I played the Derek Gunn cut during the update. He said he'd be shocked if both of them are gone, because who else do you have at that point? You've got 36-year-old Brandon Graham and Nolan Smith, who was getting 10 snaps a game.
I can't believe this was even a discussion point. Oh my gosh, the Eagles are trading both of them. No, they aren't. They're not. If it happens, that would be the most shocking thing of the Howie Roseman administration.
Yeah, there's no, like Pat said, you have nobody else. What are you doing? You're trying to rebuild the defense. What, you're getting rid of players and not, like, refilling positions? If anything, you're looking for more, as free agency approaches, you're looking for more help in those positions. Somebody had a great line this weekend, quoting somebody else, and I can't remember who it was, but said, one corner can stop a wide receiver. One great edge rusher can stop all wide receivers. Think about that. Like, you get to the quarterback and you sack him. That negates all wide receivers.
And the ball didn't get there.
Yeah, one corner negates one wide receiver. You need edge rushers. You need those guys. And the production wasn't there last year the way I think most of us anticipated or wanted. Sweat seems to be a nice complementary piece where Reddick is he's an alpha dog. You got to bring those guys back. I mean, if you replace Reddick, okay, like I said, there's probably a dime a dozen. But getting rid of them? No. You're looking to further establish that position, I think.
I want Nolan Smith learning from Hassan Reddick, by the way.
Yeah,
I
right?
absolutely would, too.
Yeah, like they were drafted basically the same player. It's
like a
that
prototype,
hybrid,
right?
that hybrid linebacker, defensive end. We don't really know what to make of it, but they clearly can get to the quarterback. And first season, Tweedledee and Tweedledum end up using Nolan Smith in his 10 snaps a game, like the Cardinals used Hassan Reddick. Oh, we're going to drop him back at linebacker and barely rush him. It was stupid. But I want Nolan Smith learning on how to do things from a guy that lived it already in Hassan Reddick.
I want to know about what this Vic Fangio discussion is and his impact and his fingerprints on what's going on right now. We'll get to that next. John Kincade Show on The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Cox hangs it up. I'm Pat Egan. The Sports Update is brought to you by Bradford White Water Heaters.
Hope your Monday morning is off to a great start. We appreciate when you join us for Fanatic Mondays, presented by Pierce Phelps Bryant Heating and Air Conditioning Contractors. Visit nopaybryant.com and get flexible spending options on a new heating and cooling system. Was in the house that Pat Egan built all weekend long, and I'll be back there this afternoon.
Would not put it that way, but
Ice Line out in Westchester for the AAU college D1, D2, D3 national championships. D2 going on, rooting for my adopted nephew's team, FAU. And their goaltender, Pat, 5'8". I'm not bringing him up just because
he's a giant.
He is a St. Joe's prep grad.
That's unfortunate.
Rocco Bruno. Pat, I'm telling you right now, Danny Briere needs to think about taking a flyer on Rocco Bruno. To put it, this kid is a magician in goal, and it's hard for me as an O'Hara guy to say something nice about a St. Joe's prep guy. But this kid is fantastic in goal, Pat. You'd love to watch him. Angles, his angles are perfect.
I like the name. Name's cool.
Rocco Bruno out of Springfield. But so he a great family and everything, and we appreciate seeing all the people out there. They played the Penn State Harrisburg crew yesterday, and that was a salty 4-2 win yesterday. So a lot of fun and great time out there. By the way, quarterfinals today, semifinals tomorrow, final on Wednesday. So if you're out there in the Westchester area, there is the guy. So check it on out. A lot of fun, some good college hockey going on. And Florida, Tennessee, Clemson, and FAU should be the Final Four. Should be. They are all favored to
Tennessee
win.
and Clemson, they're not Division I hockey, huh?
Now these are the kids who are the ones who are not on their top program. For some of these schools, this is their top program. For an FAU, this is their top program.
Oh, okay.
For some schools, this is they had three. Like Boston University has like 3 programs.
Do they really?
They have the top program. And then they have the kids who are really, really good, but they're not, like, good enough to play in that one. By the way, Bob, I was thinking of you because South Carolina won yesterday.
Right?
They won the D1 AAU national championship yesterday.
Huh.
So South Carolina went out there and won yesterday afternoon.
Did they have as much fight in them as their women's basketball team?
They did.
Okay.
By the way, I love – that's a little bit of an embarrassment for the game, but to me, I love Dawn Staley. And Dawn Staley on a microphone. Responsible, leadership, poise. I have such a crush on Dawn Staley.
I would love to have seen her square up with Kim Mulkey because she needs to be punched in the face. I've never seen someone that wants the thumbs pointed her way so much, and then she gets behind the mic and says, okay, let them two go at it. Why is a 6'10" girl pushing my girl who's smaller than her down? Well, why is your girl throwing an elbow in somebody's chest? Like, what are you talking about here? Dawn Staley handled it perfect. Yeah, we shouldn't have done it. It's a bad mark. We tell our kids not to come off the bench all the time. We're going to have to live with the repercussions. Dawn Staley's been in a fight or two in her life.
Oh, yes, she has.
Yeah, Kim Mulkey looks like, she's been that bystander of, I'll talk a tough game, but somebody stand between me and Dawn Staley.
Well, I don't want to advocate them all.
I do.
Getting into it.
I do. I want Kim Mulkey put in her place.
But I loved it. Wait. You're not putting all the blame on that for LSU, are you?
Oh, what blame?
The blame of what went on yesterday?
I hated the way she responded.
No, I got you with that one, yeah. I mean, but both teams were rather chippy. And I did not.
The girl from LSU grabbed the South Carolina girl after a steal. Okay, if you look at it, South Carolina girl goes to the LSU girl and goes to, like, help her up. And then when somebody walks by screaming, she throws an elbow in her chest. Yeah, I have no problem with a South Carolina girl coming over and pushing her and saying, don't you throw elbows.
No, I don't. I don't either.
I don't have any problem with either team, to tell you the truth. LSU was frustrated.
Yes.
South Carolina reacted. Don't throw elbows.
I think it seemed like a frustrated LSU.
Yeah.
Like they were just being, like, sort of bad sports.
Yeah,
but that game was chippy.
Feeling.
That game was chippy, though. There's a lot of chippy.
I'll be honest. I didn't watch any of the game.
I had to go see the highlights this morning.
Yeah, so I did watch the Iowa women's game against Nebraska. That final I watched, and I was texting back and forth with Ray Dunn about that game because we were watching it together. But yeah, I understand the frustration. We've all been there. We know what it's like, whether we're playing, watching. When your team is losing, the frustration comes in. You can't be throwing elbows at people's chests like that. And you know what? I don't care if the person that shoved her down was 7'5". Don't hit my teammate. You know, I agree with what South Carolina, the way they handled it.
And so one of the things that when we got into the early discussion of the Eagles and the remake of this defense and the nonsense that they're going to trade Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat. So if they're not going to trade both of those guys. But the question that Bob has can't be glossed over about how much of the direction of what goes on in free agency and the draft and player movement is going to be directed by Vic Fangio. And how much, Bob, do you think Howie is willing to say, Vic, here's the keys. What do you need? And being willing to take his vision and make it Vic's vision.
Yeah, I don't know if it's keys like here, it's all you. But I think there's definite conversation. I think there's definite, okay, what exactly do you want? Here's what we have. What do you need improvement upon? If we can get draft picks, who do you think we should make available? I think all those things are talked about. I think they sit there with a spreadsheet right in front of them. Vic and Vic Fangio and Howie Roseman and maybe Jeffrey Lurie and other coaches. All right, here's who we have. Here's how far they're under contract. Where are you looking? Here's our linebacker situation. Here's our safety situation. And I think Vic Fangio, if they're not having that conversation, then that's egregious on the Eagles, especially the way last year ended. You know, you have a really good defensive coordinator, a guy that's kind of himself in this league. Yeah, if there's not a conversation being had on who stays and who goes or who needs to be added, and it hasn't been had 100 times already, something's wrong.
Pat, are you of the belief that Howie would be willing to say, yeah, Vic, what do you need? Let me go do the shopping. Or do you think that it's more along the lines of, look, Howie and Nick are still in control. Vic, we're going to assuage to you a little bit.
I think in previous years it would have been Howie Roseman and the Howie Roseman show. I think since a couple of years ago, I think he's kind of changed his tune a little bit. He's more likely to ask, Vic Fangio, hey, does this guy work in your system? Give him a list of players and play the game, yes or no. But I think if this were probably post Super Bowl 5-6 years ago, you're getting what you get. But I think he has changed his ways a little bit. So it would be foolish not to take Vic Fangio into account.
Amen.
When you're picking defensive players, because I don't want a square peg round hole situation. So if Vic thinks he can work with a guy and it works in his system, then yeah, do it.
I want to see. I do want to see Vic Fangio get to have his vision realized, not just, yeah, you're being brought in here to bring Howie's vision to light, and or a compromise where the twins shall meet.
Yeah, I can't imagine a Vic Fangio comes in and sits with the Howie Roseman. Howie's, well, this is the way we run things here. Vic
I
Fangio,
don't see that going
Vic
down
Fangio
like that. Yes.
Would get up and get out. I don't see that at all. So whether it's a defense that the organization likes that Vic Fangio runs, I don't know. Is Vic Fangio's time done in the NFL? Has the game passed him by? I don't know. We'll find all that out this year, won't we?
Is that where you're leaning?
What?
Gut instinct. Just when we discuss Vic, are you leaning that way? Maybe thinking that the time is passing him by?
I hope not. I mean, I only say that due to age.
I know you're not rooting for it.
No. We heard all about that the disciples of Vic Fangio are what this organization wanted, and that's a bend but don't break offense. Okay, are we going to see more version of that? Has that been successful here? Has that been what is wanted here? More importantly, is that what your talent tells you to play? That's the big key. You can bring scheme all you want. If you don't have the talent to run your scheme, then it's all for nothing. Vic Fangio has to see what he has, and they have to get him what he he's got to know what he has in this free agency period. And then you get everybody together and you say, okay, I'm better here, I'm worse there. I have to design a defense that exploits my really good things and tries to hide the bad things. And right now, the bad things are linebacker and corners and safeties and your defensive line rush. Other than that, you're perfect.
I'm feeling like just the one thing I know that I can speak to factually from looking at Vic Fangio's career is that his team, when running a defense, is never going to be in the crapper like the Eagles fell last year. He's never produced a defense that will, when he's had any kind of competent talent, that has been, okay, this is just a horrendous, terrible defense. When he has competent NFL talent, he will at least get you around that top 12 neighborhood, something along those lines. He's not necessarily going to have you in the top 5, but he's going to get you in there where you are. Again, it's almost like we're talking about Trey Turner's defense. He's going to get you to where it's competent for a playoff team.
He's bend, don't break. That's the definition of bend, don't break.
It absolutely is.
Yeah, right? I mean, he's not great. He's not horrible.
It's not going to.
But it'll hang. It'll suffice. It's bend, don't break.
They're going to make you do 20 things right to score a touchdown. They're going to make you do 10 things right to score a touchdown. They're not going to let you beat them on the huge plays. They're not going to be a defense that gets scorched like that. I have confidence in Fangio. I just want to. I'm very excited for the contradiction that is today, the legal tampering period. Because tampering by definition is illegal. But we're now into the legal illegal period of free agency.
Makes sense, doesn't it?
No, it makes no sense. Why not just open free agency today? That's what I don't understand. Why wouldn't you just open it up today? We're in the legal illegal tampering period. The legal illegal period of free agency as it opens up today. And now the rumor mill should be flying.
If you thrive in the legal illegal period, are you proud of yourself?
Yes. Yes, because I'm competing with other people who are also trying to be successful
exactly. Yeah,
in the legal illegal period of it. I wonder the thriving when we get to like right now, I really wonder if you had a chance to sit down and talk to Nick Nurse. And we brought this up a few weeks ago, so I went back on my notes this morning. And so we had this as a discussion point in the show, is how valuable this period of time was going to be for Nick Nurse to really understand what he's got on the roster. All the guys on the roster, here's where you can figure out that what this guy's about, what this player's about, what this player's about. I don't know that this exercise that he's had to try to navigate, these choppy waters that he's tried to navigate with the Sixers, if it truly has been that for him. If he's been able to get to really know what these players are about.
Yeah, and it was a talking point that I had last week that, look, when you lose your best player, you want to gain something. You want to learn something about the players that you still have. What gets better? Who gets better, I should say. What adds to when your superstar player gets back? What adds more to that? Well, you haven't really got anything. Like Buddy Hield, he came in here and scored 20 points in his first 4 games. He hasn't come close to anything like that at all since. Last night he had 16. It's the first time I think he's been over 15 since those first 4 games. Tobias Harris had a couple of good games, but then has disappeared more than not. Kelly Oubre's the one positive I think that you look at since Joel Embiid's been out and say, okay, that's a little firepower that you might have off the bench. Kyle Lowry, I'm shocked. I didn't think he was being brought here to play 30-plus minutes a game, but that's what he is. If that's what you needed, wow.
I wonder when that gas tank's going to.
Well, he's not playing back-to-back.
Exactly.
And it's all
and you
that.
won't have to play back-to-back in the playoffs.
No.
So I mean, whatever routine they're getting him into.
Yeah, but isn't it weird?
No, I think the whole thing is weird.
We thought that this team, or at least I did, and people, you can say what you want. Before Joel Embiid went out, they were playing good basketball. And then you thought, okay, how's this all going to play out? Anthony Melton coming off the bench. Kelly Oubre, is he going to start, or is he coming off the bench? And you had some pieces. Nick Batum, at 35 years old, not expecting anything from him, he was a nice glue piece when Joel Embiid was here. So you look at all that and you think, man, is there a little something there? 28-6 record when Joel Embiid plays. That's pretty cool. And then it just all fell apart, and he goes down. D'Anthony Melton, I don't know if he's going to return this year. Covington, you don't know if he's going to return this year. You got a 37-year-old point guard that you're playing 30-plus minutes a night. That's your most solidifying piece right now?
I'm not feeling it at all that this team can – well, Joel Embiid comes back and that this team's got the pieces together, Pat, that they can finally do what we've been waiting for them to do for a long time, and that's get out of the second round.
I don't think so.
And
either.
you said that a couple weeks ago.
I said it when he got injured. It was not the year. It's just we can try to convince ourselves that if this happens and that happens and they do the play-in tournament, it's just the team's probably not good enough if your big man's coming back from ligament damage and ligament surgery. If it was like a broken foot, it'd be one thing, but ligaments are tricky, and I just don't think you're probably getting the same Joel Embiid that left. Not this season, at least.
Yeah, your bench last night of Nick Batum, Paul Reed, and Buddy Hield won you that game. Listen to what I just said.
Which is really, it's almost stupid.
Campaign was your start. Listen to your starting lineup: Harris, Bamba, Lowry, Payne, and Oubre. I mean, that's except for Tobias Harris. That's 4 out of 5 are backups in this league, and that's what Nick Nurse has to trot out there. Was it a concentrated effort to be that ugly last night? Like all of a sudden you got to win ugly? Probably not. Did you expect your starting center of Mo Bamba to grab you 1 rebound in 20 minutes of play? Probably not. I mean, Mo Bamba's line last night, listen to this, 20 minutes, 2 for 4 from the floor, no free throws, no offensive rebounds, 1 total rebound, no assists, no steals, no blocks, no turnovers, no fouls. That's 20 minutes of standing there and watching the game go up and down the floor, and you not participating.
Maybe I jinxed him that I thought that I advocated that I thought he would potentially be a nice piece for this team as just a sub player.
Yeah, he'd be
a nice piece.
He and Paul Reed would be good third centers on any team.
It's unbelievable.
So yeah, the depths have fallen. You can see the frustration. At least I think I got. Little birdie told me something, and I'm kind of keeping an eye on Nick Nurse. Where's the frustration factor falling here? Because I think it's getting pretty high right now.
It's got to be high.
Yeah, sure it does. Absolutely.
Now, by the way, if you want to find a silver lining with 18 games to go, so look at it that way. You've got there's 18 games left in the season. Here's your silver lining. Last 5 games, should they really slip up, and they've got some tough games coming up. Should they slip? Memphis, San Antonio, Detroit, Orlando at home, which could be a game, and Brooklyn. So 4 of your last 5 games at the end of the year, if you are scrapping for position, you've got a chance there. And if Joel Embiid was somehow able to be a part of that, 3 weeks from now, by the way. So you got 3 weeks. Could 3 weeks from now, could we see Joel Embiid on a court?
Only if he gets on the court pretty soon.
So, like, it would be
we need to hear about. Yeah, he's doing non-contact drills, but he's out there playing. Then it has to come to basketball activity with other players. Like, it's getting to the point where he's got to get on the court soon, in order to be able to get on the court for a real game.
Sixers away at the Knicks tomorrow night. You'll hear it here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Sixers at Milwaukee on Thursday. Again, you'll hear it here on The Fanatic. Then they're home for a few days. They're home for like 3 days before going on that West Coast trip. Bob, that has to be the window of him, first of all, us getting news and him getting on the court, at least doing basketball-related activities. It's got to be this week. I'm just doing the math and looking at this. It doesn't. Then it starts to run out. Then you're starting to say, because, I mean, first game of the playoffs come back, I don't know.
Yeah,
or play-in tournament game, I don't know.
He's not going to be able to play with the guys because there's not that much practice to begin with. And when they do go, they're not going full court, up and down all that much. It's all situational. So I don't know. I would have liked to have heard a little bit more of, he's out there shooting and doing this and doing that. Maybe he's further along than we think. Maybe he is doing that stuff and they just haven't said. I don't know. I don't know why we don't get updates.
Sixers winning a game last night, 79-73 at New York. The Knicks was 73 points. I just I can't fathom it.
That was such a gross game.
And
you know how much I love the glitz and glamour of the Oscars, right?
You wouldn't watch the Oscars if they were holding it.
I don't think we know that.
If they were holding that in your kitchen, you would go to the basement.
Very good. I'm glad you guys know me a little bit. I was tempted.
No, you weren't.
Tempted at times to maybe switch over there and say, what's going on in that show, because everybody seems to like it.
Yeah, they
That's
all
how
love each other.
bad
They
that
love each
Sixers
other
game
very
was.
much. Yeah, everybody at the Oscars.
Yeah, I didn't. I heard good things about it. My wife said it was awesome. Some people on Twitter said it was a great production last night. I didn't partake, but I heard it was good.
You were all into
So that's cool.
But you didn't watch.
Well, when my wife and mother-in-law had on a, what is it, a red carpet thing.
Oh, jeez.
At like 2 in the afternoon.
Ugh.
I was like, what the hell's going on here? People showing up 5 hours early? Do they tailgate? What do they do?
Well, I think they go and they have probably the swag bag alone.
I mean,
I'd be there for the swag bag.
What's I'm all for gorgeous women in beautiful attire and all that stuff. Like, I'll look at the pictures of what everyone was wearing. I don't know half of the people. I did see your. I walked into the room one time and Pat's girl Margot Robbie was there. I think Donna pointed.
Yeah, she's
her out
attractive.
to me. Yeah, she looked pretty.
She said hi, Pat, to the camera, too.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
She said hi, Pat. I was watching a low point this morning for, we're an Action News household.
Uh-huh.
And it was a low point for Action News this morning as I was watching the ladies of Action News break down the red carpet attire of the actresses.
Oh, yeah? Is that right?
I was like, okay, now we got nothing. We have literally nothing. Luckily, we have nothing going on in this city.
Well, they had somebody out there, Channel 6.
They did. Alicia Vitarelli out there.
Yeah. And she was out there for like, what, a month, it seemed like?
Good for her if you could. Good work if you can get it.
And the story that I got out of it was, there was people with Philly relations that were up for awards.
That's a good gig if Alicia can get it.
Good for her, absolutely. Yeah.
I just was like, they're breaking down how people were dressed on the red carpet and everything. I'm like, lucky we got nothing going on in this city. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. The streets are clean.
Yeah, we're good.
Crime is low. There's nothing to worry about because we're breaking down what women are wearing at the Oscars.
All right, I can do that.
On. Hey, coming up, more on what Rob Thompson's going to do with his lineup. John Kincade Show on The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
BG's back on Pat Egan. The Sports Update is brought to you by Robert Half. 9 out of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty hiring today. Robert Half is here to help. Robert Half, they know talent. Visit roberthalf.com today. A lot of Eagles news over the weekend. One of the all-time greats is returning, as Brandon Graham announced he will be returning for his 15th and final season after signing a one-year deal to remain with the Birds. Now, while Graham is back, Fletcher Cox is not. Cox announced his retirement yesterday. He was a 6-time Pro Bowler, first-team All-Pro, and most importantly, he was a Super Bowl champ. Now, news also came out over the weekend that the team is fielding offers for defensive end Josh Sweat. This is on the heels of the team allowing Hassan Reddick to seek a trade, but Derek Gunn said he would be shocked to see both of them let go.
I can't see them letting both of these guys just walk. I think they're going to stack the pluses and the minuses of letting one or the other get away based on whatever offers they're getting out there, and maybe let one get away at the most. But both of them, I'd be shocked if they let both of them get away.
That full interview is available now on 97.5thefanatic.com. Sixers picked up a win last night, defeating the Knicks in a barn burner, 79-73. The team will look to make it 2-0 in March against the Knicks as they take them on Tuesday. Again, Flyers are off today as they prepare to face the Sharks on Tuesday. When they do, they'll be without head coach John Tortorella, who was suspended for 2 games after yelling at an official. I'm Pat Egan. Breaking news all day, every day is here. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Opening day for the Phillies is fast approaching, and both expectations and optimism is high. There are questions. Will the Fightins be in position to win the NL East and make another World Series run? ESPN's Buster Olney says the Phillies are a team to watch. What about the pitching rotation? Nola and Wheeler are set. How does it all round out? And what about the bullpen? From now through the season, keep it here for every angle, every storyline. Philadelphia's station for breaking sports news. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
You know the in like a lion, out like a lamb stuff that you hear all the time? Well, today the wind is going to whip through your house and take your living room and blow it right into the kitchen. If you have drafty windows, if you don't have Window Nation windows, Window Nation's got a great deal for you, though. If you're feeling the draft inside this morning, you can buy 2 windows and get 2 free. Already spectacular deal there. Got a house with 20 windows? How about just paying for 10? But there's more. How about 0 down, 0 interest, and 0 payments for 2 full years, 24 months? That's even better. So right now, while you're worried about John, I'd love to have new windows, but I can't afford them. Why can't I? Buy 2 windows, get 2 free. So already you're getting a half deal there. Plus 0 down, 0 interest, and 0 payments for 24 months. This is the time to take on a project that's going to add to the value of your home from the curb appeal, and it's going to make you feel more comfortable inside. Do your window shopping online right now at windownation.com. Then get a free, no-obligation quote. Set it up right now. Call 866-90-NATION. That's 866-90-NATION, or visit windownation.com to schedule.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with everything I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of dry AMD called geographic
and WPEN HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia. A Beasley Media Group station. Broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studios. Powering possibilities. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com. The John Kincade Show with Bob Cooney and Pat Egan continues. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Good to be back with you today, and hopefully you're going to have a fantastic Monday. And if you have your furniture out back, it's probably being blown around today.
Oh, my wife just sent me a picture during the break of a section of our fence blown over.
50-mile-an-hour winds and everything like that. So be careful out there. It's a lot nicer in Clearwater, Florida, I'm sure. Much better down there. And earlier on in the show today, Bob and I were going back and forth a little bit about what Trey Turner and expectations for Trey Turner for this year. And one of them that, as Pat said, he thinks that he doesn't know that he'll really be good at shortstop this year, but he believes he'll be adequate, at least adequate. And I'm like, if you give me an adequate defense with exceptional at the plate, I don't give a flip. That's great for Trey Turner. Does the same apply to Johan Rojas, who brought off to a little bit of a shaky start, I'd say. He's 5 for 34, a 147 batting average. Now, 34 at bats, small sample size, but not that small. You get 60 at bats in spring training, that's pretty good. I mean, they're giving him his chances to get up there and swing. If you got exceptional defense and just adequate at the plate, and by the way, he's not adequate right now, is that enough for Johan Rojas to be your everyday, your opening day starting center fielder?
Well, you have to look at what's your alternative. I mean, can you get a heavy bat in left field, move Marsh over to center? I've said it forever, and people don't. A lot of people said, "Oh, that's just an old head saying that." I like power at the corner positions in the outfield. I really do. Maybe it is old school. I like a center fielder that can get on base and that can defend really well and run around the bases a little bit. I can put up with Johan Rojas as a 230, 240
I
bottom of the
absolutely
order.
could.
Yeah. This stuff, I don't know. The way he ended last year. Now, he hit 300 during the regular season last year. But, no, I just can't go with – you know what? A lot of it has to do with Marsh also. If you had somebody in left field, I don't know, like a Pat Burrell or somebody that, could hit you 25, 30 home runs, and even a Rhys Hoskins-like type, then I could go with Johan Rojas more. But you have a sloppy hitter already in left, and now you're going to have another one in center. Now, this lineup's good, and those are your 8 and 9 hole hitters. But I have a shorter leash for Johan Rojas because of who I have in left field.
But, Pat, I'm looking at the skill sets. Nobody has a problem with Kyle Schwarber for long stretches of the season batting below 200.
Yeah.
Because of the skill set that he brings to the table, that's more valuable. I don't know that the defense that Johan Rojas gives you isn't every bit as valuable to be able to sit through, stomach a 185 or 190 batting average.
That's where I'm at. I'm at look, this guy gives you elite defense. When he gets on base, look out. He's got 80 speed in a thing that goes to 80. So, yeah, I mean, take the good with the bad. He's going to have to learn on the fly and get used to major league pitching. But I don't care if he hits 220, because I think the 220, what he brings you, will outweigh the fact that he's only hitting 220. And then you just need to see a gradual growth. You saw it last year with Brandon Marsh. He went from 220 hitter to 280. Who's to say that you can't do the same thing with Johan Rojas? He's going to give you gold glove defense.
Even if you're just getting him to 240, right?
Yeah, and how many runs is he just going to save with his glove out there?
That's a good question.
He's in the bottom of the order. No one's really expecting much from your 9-hole hitter anyway. So that's what the 9-hole is for.
But that's why I'm sorry, Pat.
No, I was done.
That's why I marry him to the left fielder, though, also. You know, like I said, I have a shorter leash on Johan Rojas because of having also a slappy hitter in left field. That might not be fair, and maybe the shorter leash should come with a Marsh there. But how many runs will he save you a year? Like, I mean, baseball's cool because you dive into numbers and everybody with the, Blake Snell doesn't give you enough innings. Okay. Like I pointed out to you guys last time, Aaron Nola gets you one more out a game. And everybody looks at Aaron Nola as a workhorse. Well, if you look at the numbers, he pitched 200 innings and Snell was like 180, you know, all of those things. It's over a 32 starts. The numbers really aren't that, you know, big. Does Johan Rojas, great glove, great. But is he saving you a ton of runs over 162? I don't know.
I do believe he does.
A ton?
Yes. I absolutely do. I think he saves you a ton of runs.
I mean, we can look at last year of some of the great plays he made. There's probably 3 or 4 great plays that he made. Like there was a story in the paper the other day, his best catches, and it labeled a 3, and I distinctly remember them. And the playoff one was incredible. 3 plays in you know how many games? 60,
I don't think that's the story though. Because I think that there are routine plays for Johan Rojas.
That aren't routine for others?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks effortless out there for him.
I think he covers up a lot of warts with a team that's not very.
There was the one play I think in the Atlanta series that he.
Well,
that was the Acuna ball.
Yeah.
That would have cleared the bases.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So I think I think his glove alone, he needs to be in the lineup. This wouldn't be the first team to sacrifice something at the plate for a potential Gold Glover, and I think that he can add stuff at the plate. You got to give him time. This is baseball we're talking about. I know we're in an immediate gratification society, but like you got to give a guy a little bit of time to get his feet wet and learn the game a little bit.
And this lineup, shouldn't it afford him? Shouldn't the Phillies lineup of all teams?
This is a lineup where look, and I made this case a couple weeks ago. If they're struggling to hit, Johan Rojas is not target
part of the problem.
Yeah. if this lineup is putting up 1 to 2 runs a game during a 5-game stretch, you're probably not going damn. And Johan Rojas is hitting 220 because he's hitting 9th.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's kind of what you expect from a 9-hole hitter.
Yeah, you know what? I totally agree with you, and I love his gloving, so I do love watching him play center. And I love how people talk about him, how he moves before the swinger swings. Like, he's moving with the pitch knowing, okay, the guy's not going to get around on this one. I got to go towards, you know, left or right field, whatever it's going to be. I think I just go back to, I don't love that you have a left fielder and a center fielder, neither one that's going to hit for power at all. Now, should the rest of the lineup make up for it? Yeah, okay. I would be so much more on board with Johan Rojas. Not so much, because I am on board with him. I'd be a little bit more – I'd have no problem, absolutely no problem with him if I just had some power in left field.
Hey, the 8 o'clock hour of the John Kincade Show on every single Monday, Fanatic Mondays, are presented by Pierce Phelps Bryant Heating and Air Conditioning Contractors. Visit nopaybryant.com and get flexible spending options on a new heating and cooling system. They will take absolutely great care of you, and we appreciate them. So as we began today, we were talking about the retirement of Fletcher Cox, and in the prism of the retirement last week of Jason Kelce a week ago, and the idea about where this team's going and where it's headed. And to me, I don't know that I expected to feel worse about the Eagles being able to plug the holes without both of these guys than I do, excuse me. But there was one question that was nagging me that we now find out, and we knew it before because Adam Schefter, we said it before, Adam Schefter was not making a report up after the Eagles lost to Tampa Bay, that Jason Kelce was telling teammates in the locker room that he was retiring. Now we find out that Fletcher Cox, the exact same thing. They were both done on that Monday night in Tampa. Pat made it clear earlier that he was done also with that season, and I think we all felt that way turning off the TVs that night. But The fact that they were both done that night after that game and letting it be known, does that tell us all we need to know about how crappy the atmosphere was around the Philadelphia Eagles? How terrible it was that both guys are like, the night it happens, I'm done with this crap. I'm not going to be a part of it any longer. I'm moving on. Now, I'm not saying that's what they were saying, but they decided, because if this Eagles team, if both of them felt that this Eagles team in 2024 was going to have a chance to compete for a Super Bowl, I think they'd both be back. Or if the Eagles would have them. And for Kelsey, I think the Eagles would have had him. For Cox, I think it would have just had to have been a negotiation on money.
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. Like, you lose a Super Bowl one year, so you're like, oh, we're that close. But if they're being real with each other, or with themselves, I should say, how many teams go to a Super Bowl, lose, and then come back and win a Super Bowl the next year? The idea of going out on top, and that's winning. If winning a Super Bowl is that's kind of naive by both of them, right? So, I tend to lean towards this was their last year, no matter what. But maybe what you're saying, John, is true. Like, those last 7 games really cemented it in their head.
Just like, I'm done.
Yeah, screw this.
Why would they? I mean, it's odd to me, Pat, to think. And if you want to get in with us on this, you can at 610-632-0975. That, to me, it's the idea that both of these guys, you would think, would have I'm going to take some time to sit on it. I'm going to take the time to sit on this decision and not make that choice right now. And instead they did. They both decided. And they obviously, they didn't come up with that decision during the third quarter of that horrendous game.
They didn't, but maybe they did, and we don't realize it. Like, maybe in the moment they say, okay, I'm done. And then the next day they go, all right, that was a little premature. Yeah, let me think on this. And then that's why they waited until March to actually make an announcement, because it's easy in the moment to say, I'm done. After that game, and we joked around about it, but like, we all were done. So it's easy to go, yeah, I'm not coming back for this anymore. I'm all right. But then, as the weeks go on, you see how your body feels. Your body's not responding maybe as quickly as it used to an off season, and you're still a little bit sore, and you're like, yeah, you know what? No, I actually am done. Like, it wouldn't have surprised me if Fletcher Cox came back, because he's playing at a high level. Jason Kelsey would have surprised me, because we all watched the documentary. With Fletcher Cox, I wouldn't have been surprised had I heard that he told people he was done and then he decided to come back. But if you get a month out of the season and you're still dealing with, a bad back or knee or whatever, and it's still bothering you and you're still hobbling around a little bit, I don't blame anyone for going, I got OTAs in like 3 months. No, I'm not doing that.
I think that arguably Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, and Jason Kelsey, they were the 3 veterans in the locker room that spoke out wildly in support of Nick Sirianni. And 2 of the 3 of them hit the door. Like, on the way out the door, they were throwing bouquets to Nick Sirianni, where the players who knew they were coming back and knew they were going to be a part of things chose, and some of them chose not to, a.k.a. Jalen Hurts. Chose not to. A conscious decision not to. I just wonder how bad this thing is, Bob, and how in reality, how bad this thing is. Because the fact that they both said it that night now, so defiantly, like, okay, retirement's here, we're done, after such great careers, just tells me a lot.
Well, I mean, obviously it was a thought-out process, and like Pat said, we saw it in the Kelsey documentary. So after 60 minutes of football, do I think he came into a locker room pissed off and said, that's it, I'm done? I doubt it. I mean, Fletcher Cox, Jason Kelsey, they've probably been contemplating retirement for 2-3 years now.
Oh, absolutely.
So to say they got off of a field in Tampa and then said, this sucks so bad, I'm out, I would tend to lean towards no, because they've been thinking about it so much.
But if this team, if they both in their heart of hearts, you know what kind of competitors they are. If in their heart of hearts they felt, you know what, we can retool this thing. This thing isn't done. This ride isn't over. We got a chance. Do I do it one more time? I think that they don't say that night.
Well, look at it this way. What did they think after the Super Bowl? Man, it's a great chance I'm coming back.
Yeah.
Okay, look how badly that turned out. There's no assurances in anything. So even if the team played well this year, are they going to and didn't win a Super Bowl, are they going to say, yeah, next year's the year? Well, that's 3 straight years of thinking it. So I don't know. Maybe it cemented it in. Maybe they were just both hell-bent on retiring after the season no matter what, and they let their teammates know then. Kelsey probably had to polish up the speech a little bit more. That's why he took so long to announce it, I guess, to the rest of us. Maybe Fletcher's putting a little something together.
I don't believe that we're going to have the Fletcher Cox big retirement day like that.
They have to do something.
Yeah, but I don't believe Fletcher wants it.
They're probably not.
That would be totally out of character for him to do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely out of character. I have not watched the full speech, by the way. So I needed you to say to me, do I invest the time to watch that full speech?
Sure.
I was in Punta Cana, and I was absolutely as disconnected as I can try to be. And I was not on my devices trying to read and trying to catch up on stuff.
Yeah, you should watch it.
So you should watch it. It's worth it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like, just to take you back, we were sitting here the next day, and you know, the reaction was obvious, like, oh, my God, that was so great, all that stuff. I threw a little black cloud in there. I said, I'll be honest, and maybe it's my age. I had 2 friends during the thing text me and say, okay, man, that's enough.
Put the wrap on it.
That's enough. It was heartfelt. It was cool. My sister, who lives in Baltimore, called me like right after it was done and said, oh, my God, that was the greatest thing I've ever seen. It was cool. And you know, to see somebody show their feelings like that is cool. And he relates to Philadelphia in a way that few other athletes did and will for the rest of our lifetime. So, yeah, you have to watch it.
Okay,
sure.
good. I just didn't know. I read some of on the way home on the plane. I was reading some of the transcript of it, and it looked pretty cool.
Yeah,
was it really an hour?
It was 40 minutes.
Okay, so 40 minutes.
He talked for about 25.
Oh, okay.
And then he cried for the other 20 or 15.
Pat, well worth my time. You're sort of a.
I don't think so.
You're sort of a cinephile.
Really? You don't think so?
No, I think you can skip it.
That's funny because
I can see the highlight. I can watch the highlight
notes.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, you're good.
Nah, I think you got to watch it. It's like an iconic moment in Philly history, isn't it? Sports history. No, you don't think so?
I didn't watch it live, if I'm being honest. Like, I knew what was coming, so I didn't really need to see the retire. I knew he was going to retire.
Plus, that 7% that you had put on it, Patty, you were still holding out.
And then I couldn't believe when I went back and I saw it was as long as it was. I was like, gee, all right, let me grab some popcorn, I guess. Are the previews for this?
I mean, and what were the previews afterwards?
Yeah,
okay.
Fast and the Furious 12. There was a preview for that involved. Oppenheimer 2.
By the way, I bet on the, and I said it to you a couple months ago. I bet on that it's going to be Amazon, where he's going to end up. The Thursday Night Football.
Oh,
that's where I bet he's going to end up. We have no idea where. Nothing has leaked yet.
No,
as far as where he's going,
he'll be somewhere.
So you do believe he's definitely working in TV next year?
Maybe not next year, but in the future, yeah.
Well,
I mean,
in the
I don't
future,
know if he'll dive right into it. You know, he does have those kids and all that. You know, that father stuff, husband stuff that he probably needs to do a little catching up on. But yeah, I don't think there's a doubt. And it was cool because the video tribute that was on his podcast. It had Peyton Manning, it had Eli Manning, and both of them saying, yeah, dude, take your time. Don't be coming and taking our jobs, you know. And who else? There was somebody else on there. It wasn't Romo, was it, Pat? Did you see that or no?
No, it was just Eli and Peyton.
Yeah. Yeah, so they were the ones that were saying. It was cool. Shaq was on there. A lot of people got on. Yeah, a lot of people got on it.
Apparently one huge Eagles fan that was notably absent from it.
Who's that?
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift.
Just saying.
Now, I would say that huge Eagles fan.
She didn't make an appearance.
Pat, she's not welcome back, right?
Not on my watch.
Not on my watch either.
No.
Now, here's the crazy thing.
Not on Bob's watch. I can tell by his eyes.
So they literally at the resort have music that'll play around the pool but only during certain times. So at the resort, they'll play it through and they'll let you hear music, but they try to keep it as comfortable that you don't have to be subject to music that maybe you don't like or whatever. So they were coming around. He's like, I said, I have not heard anything from Taylor Swift this whole week. And the young man looks at me and he goes, who?
Yeah, I don't believe that guy.
No, Pat.
I don't believe that guy.
Pat, we brought over the other staff members. They have, like, the entertainment staff, the young people, 21, 23. These are natives of the Dominican Republic. They literally looked at me like I had three heads.
Yeah, I'm not
and
believing
they don't know who she is.
I don't believe them.
Well,
I flat out don't believe them. I don't believe you don't know the biggest artist on the planet.
They all were coming over, but the thing is, they weren't all like a part of some big scam.
They can look. I don't care if 55 million people told you they don't. You know who Taylor Swift is, like you do. I mean, you could be in a coma for the last 20 years, and you wake up and you're going, shake it off, like you know who she is. It's impossible not to.
I don't know that Shake It Off was big in the Dominican.
An idiot.
What do you mean? I'm not an idiot. I
love how you incorporated Shake It Off.
Yeah.
That's why I'm calling you an idiot.
I mean, you do. Like, by happenstance.
How old was this person that said they
21.
never heard of? Yeah, I don't believe it
And
either.
Kelvin is this young man, Kelvin, who goes by Dark Chocolate. That's his name at the resort. And
I go by Vanilla Milk.
He's Dark Chocolate. He said, yeah, he used to pitch. And I said, what do you mean you used to pitch? He says, yeah, I used to pitch in the competitive Dominican League. So this other guy comes over and he goes, he was a really good pitcher, Mr. John. And I said, really good pitcher? So then I said, Dark Chocolate, I heard you were a really good pitcher. And he goes like this. He goes, I didn't like to hit the gym. And so the guy comes around. He goes,
he says, Taylor Swift concert.
He says, show the video. He had his pitching from when he was 16, 17, and he was popping 96 and 97 on the radar gun.
So what happened to him?
He tore his rotator cuff, and he tore his rotator cuff twice, had problems with his shoulder because he didn't ever want to go to the gym. And he said, would have been my ticket out. He said, would have been my ticket out.
There's a really good movie called Sugar, and it's all about, like, a kid getting signed and then going to the minor league system and having injuries and stuff. It's worth watching if you're, like, a baseball nerd like myself, but it's an interesting look into that, like, the ticket out and how important it is. And that's why so many guys, like, they just lied about their age because baseball looked at it like if you were 18, you were done. So then they would go and they'd find a dead relative and take their identity, and next thing you know, it went from 18 to 16.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, but he had the whole video, and there it was. He's popping on the radar gun.
He's got a gun, he's got video, he's got all that, and he never heard of Taylor Swift.
I don't. Dark Chocolate did not know Taylor Swift. So,
You're telling people there now. This American believes that I didn't know who Taylor Swift was.
Pat says there may be a positive to the Josh Sweat news that broke over the weekend. We'll see what it is. John Kincade Show on the Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
BG back. Fletcher Cox, not so much. I'm Pat Egan. This Sports Update is brought to you by Bradford White Water Heaters. When you need a new water heater, choose one that's built to be the best. Choose Bradford White.
75thefanatic.com.
Appreciate you hanging out with us. John Kincade Show on The Fanatic. And Pat, our man Tristan.
What do you say, Tristan Homer?
With a fine response.
Yeah, what do you got?
He says in some alternate universe, Dark Chocolate actually hit the gym and is now the Phillies' #1 prospect from the Dominican Republic. So it could be.
Maybe, man. If he was, he would definitely know about Taylor Swift that way.
He would know about him along those lines.
Absolutely, man.
We had a
That's an anti-hero story right there.
We had a gentleman calling in. Unfortunately, we were going to break, and he was like, no. He believes it. I would just tell you is that they all were of unanimous, like they have no idea, which was strange to me because I would think that because some of the bartenders knew that's Jason Kelce was all over the TVs, and the bartenders are going, that's Travis's brother who dates Taylor Swift.
That doesn't surprise me. Like,
that's how they looked at it.
I think a lot of people out of Philadelphia look at Jason Kelce as Travis's brother. Like he's the B-side on that podcast, and it's only because Travis is dating Taylor Swift. That's huge, but also like he's an offensive player.
Yeah, he's
the casual
center.
Yeah, the casual person that's just playing fantasy football knows who Travis Kelce is because he's huge for points in a fantasy football league. Center, like you've got to be a diehard football fan to kind of know who that is. I mean, I'll tell you right now, I could maybe 3 centers in football, maybe 3, 4. Like it's just not a position where if it's not your own team, you know who they are, because a lot of times you're just not looking at it. The good ones don't get their name mentioned, which I appreciate Chris Collinsworth because every time he did an Eagles game, I feel like his favorite player was Jason Kelce. He would always point out his ability to get to the second level. So I'm not overly surprised that, most places it's, hey, Travis's brother. But for here, I mean, Travis is Jason's brother.
Yes, I don't think that it's as big for everybody else around the country. I think Jason is, as you said, the B-side. He's the B-side. I mean, because he's the center, for one thing.
That's what offensive linemen usually are. They're not flashy. They go about their business, and if you don't hear from them, it's a good day at the office.
So now it was interesting because Colin had put up on the web, within the last 7 days, both Kelce and Cox retired. So we have a question. Do you think the way the season ended had an impact on their decisions to retire, or did they already know going into the season that this was their last? Okay. Mikey Mack says they already knew going into the season. Andrew Stuckey said neither. Over the course of the season, they realized they didn't want to do it anymore. Now, that's an interesting thought on what Andrew's saying. First of all, I don't believe that they may, what in Mikey's response, they already knew going into the season. They may already have known what they want to do, but many of those players will say, I know what I want to do, and then it'll change. It changed for Jason Kelce. Jason Kelce was supposed to go out last year. Brendan Gunn, by the way, put this question out there. Sorry, Brendan. And you can already know going into the season, and something in the season can change your mind because both Fletcher Cox and Jason Kelce could be on an NFL roster this year if they wanted to be.
Sure.
Absolutely. Both of them could. But the idea of over the course of the season, they realized they didn't want to do it anymore, Andrew Stuckey's response, that to me makes me wonder. If that is the truth, was there a little bit of a mental checkout? Because that was part of it. They are every bit as responsible for the collapse. Every single player on that roster is responsible for the collapse. Even Jason Kelce did not play to his standard down the stretch. I mean, there was no pass rush down the stretch, so Fletcher Cox takes some of the blame in that. So on all the hoopla around their retirements, it is clear they were both a part of what happened last year. And did both of them maybe potentially sort of mentally check out? This is going poorly, and I don't really know how to stop it.
I don't know. I mean, if you talk to any, air quotes, normal person about retirement, there's a lot of planning that goes into it. When do you want to retire? Do you ever want to retire? How old do you want to be? What about your spouse? Is everything good there? There's a lot of planning that goes into retirement. I can't imagine just because these guys are football players that they got off the field frustrated and said, screw it, I'm done. Nah, I think they probably had, if they weren't 100% sure, I have a feeling they were both 95% sure that they were done. Because, look, as you said, they could still play if they wanted to. So, I think it was a foregone conclusion going into the season.
The idea of it changing, though, Pat, to me, like Fletcher Cox. Fletcher Cox said at the Super Bowl, where do you want to play? What kind of team would you want to play for next year? And he goes, yours, to a Steeler. So at least it seems like even though he was telling people he was retired, he was at least contemplating.
I'm sure he was. I'm sure Jason was contemplating. Jason and Brandon, and I said this when the season ended, they were never going to wear another team's uniform. But Fletcher Cox I did worry about. I never got the sense that he was 100% loyal to Philly, where it was like, no, I'd rather retire than wear anyone else's uniform. And there is nothing wrong with that.
You're not ripping him with that, right?
No,
exactly.
no, not at all. I mean, look, Dawkins went to Denver, B. West went to San Francisco, Trey went to Jacksonville. Like, it happens. It's very rare that we saw and we'll see what we're seeing / saw with Brandon Graham, Jason Kelce, and Fletcher Cox. I mean, you got 3 guys who are never going to wear another team's uniform. You don't see that in sports these days. So I was pretty confident that if Jason Kelce were to come back, the Birds would make it work. Brandon Graham, I knew would come back after he said what he said. I knew it was going to be for the Birds. Fletcher Cox, though, I mean, I didn't want to think about watching him in another team's uniform for a year or maybe
that
2.
would have been
that would have been
disgusting,
gross.
right?
Yeah, because he is an all-time great. He is going to be Canton bound. He is one of the best picks that Andy Reid made in the first round. I mean, Andy Reid's first rounds were kind of rough a lot of times. His later round picks were really good, but I mean, he trades up for Fletcher Cox and crushed that pick. And I didn't want to think about him playing for another team. So I'm kind of relieved in a way that he decided to retire instead of the alternative, which is what you pointed out, him playing for the Steelers or something. I don't want to think about him in a Denver Broncos uniform. Or
you said that on purpose.
Why?
Because of Brian Dawkins, Denver Broncos.
Yeah,
you
probably.
And it would be gross.
Really? I don't. Yeah,
I wouldn't want to see that.
That doesn't bother me. Dawkins kind of did. I don't. Yeah, that wouldn't have bothered me. He can go be a backup defensive lineman on some other team.
I would have hated to see that. That would have been one of those ones where you're cruising by a national game, and you're watching it, and you see a couple plays being made, and you go, "Oh God, Fletcher Cox is still out there making plays." That's in an Eagles uniform. He could maybe make a play for this team. Because there's a lot to be done.
Well, does the loss of him, is it more because of what he did here before or what he did last season and what he could still bring you? Like, I don't look at Fletcher Cox anymore as a difference maker on that D-line. So, like, his retirement's fine with me. Had he gone somewhere else, I'm not being cold. I appreciate what he did and a Hall of Famer, absolutely. But right now, he's just a backup defensive lineman to me.
And I hate this when it's the news about the people saying, well, the news that the Eagles are going to trade they're going to trade Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat. No, they aren't. And I got news for you. If you're running with that news from the weekend, I've got news for you. They're not going to trade both of them. And I believe it's a ploy, and I believe it's a strategy. And if they did trade both of them, I would absolutely be floored, and I would be glad to say that I had it completely wrong. I don't believe I will be wrong in any regard in this. I also believe both of them will come back. Both players. Not just one. I think both of them are going to come back because they've got them under contract, and it doesn't make sense unless you can do something that is going to absolutely transform your team. But, Pat, the idea that Josh Sweat, that the Eagles are either taking calls or soliciting interest in Josh Sweat, you think there could be some good news to it.
I think if you're a Hassan Reddick fan, there's good news.
Okay.
I'm a huge Hassan Reddick fan.
And I join you in that fan.
I didn't take it well when the news came out that they allowed him to seek a trade. I'm still probably not taking it well. I'm sitting in dark rooms. I'm listening to sad music. It's bleak. But and I played the cut during the updates. That Derek Gunn coming on and saying I'd be shocked if they let both of them go, and I'm right there with him because you just can't let both of your only competent players that are able to get to the quarterback leave and just rework the defense and go, all right, well, we'll sign a guy here and we'll draft so and so. It's just that's organizational malpractice. So the idea that they're going to let both of them go, I think, is foolish. Because of that, if they're fielding offers for Josh Sweat, that kind of tells me that they're looking to bring Hassan Reddick back, and they are looking at re-upping him in a deal. So I kind of took it as good news. I mean, my initial reaction was, geez, you're going to ignore a position. But then, 30 seconds later, it was like, all right, well, they're not going to let both of them go. And if I had to pick one to let go and trade, it would be Josh Sweat over Hassan Reddick. So, yeah, I mean, trade him. That's cool. Get some picks, assets, whatever. Opens up a spot for Nolan Smith. Kind of tells you what they think about Nolan Smith. They're still pretty high on him.
I don't think you get any more than a third-day pick for Josh Sweat.
I don't know.
Third day?
I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty bad with guessing value in the NFL. It would be interesting to see what it was. But, if you end up drafting a guy pretty high to play defensive end, and maybe you can supplement it there. But I don't want to see both of them go. But when I saw the news, my initial reaction was after making the joke on Twitter and then getting dragged for it. My initial reaction was they're not going to let both of them go, and that means Hassan Reddick probably is going to be back.
I think they're both coming back, Bob. I think both players will be back.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles are in a good spot financially right now. I mean, they're $43 million under the cap. They saved some money by getting rid of Avonte Maddox. With Kelsey and Cox not coming back, those are two contracts you don't have to worry about. So they're in a good spot. Are they looking? What did we say Reddick was? Like a $21 million hit against the cap next year, Pat? Something around there?
Yeah, I think
business-wise, it makes more sense, business-wise, if you're talking money, to, with both guys 1 year remaining on their contract, to look to deal and get a good deal for Hassan Reddick. But it is $21 million.
Biggest
cap. The biggest cap hit on the Birds. So I understand the business aspect of it, but Pat's right. I mean, if you're looking both of those guys, who the hell do you have there?
They're not trading both guys. I couldn't even believe this was a quote-unquote report.
Well,
that was newsworthy. They're not trading both guys.
You can take calls on anybody.
Yes, absolutely.
I could have called you and said, hey, you looking to trade Jalen Hurts? Doesn't mean they're saying yes and looking into it. No, we're not. Thanks for calling. Eagles took a trade call on Jalen Hurts. Okay.
I think this is just leverage. I really do. And I don't know which. I hope that it's optimistically the way Pat looks at it. I hope that it ends up being that, where they're going to re-up. It's a positive sign that they're going to re-up with.
What do you think Reddick or Sweat would get you?
4th round pick at best. At best, 4th.
Oh, I think you're looking at a 3rd, at least. I'm not trading.
Well, you're saying at
I'm
least?
not trading. If it's a 4th, I'm not trading them.
I don't think
to
you
me,
get more than that.
Then I'm keeping them. I'm not trading them for the sake of trading them.
So you're thinking he could get you a 3rd? Because I believe they would say to themselves, especially if they got Reddick back, I believe they would go, you know what? We're getting more value back in a trade than when we drafted him. We'll do it. I think they'd do it. They'd pull the trigger.
Yeah, perhaps.
Because he may not be worth a 3rd round pick. You're going to get whatever the compensatory pick when he would sign next year, I believe would probably be he'd probably end up being a 4th, 5th round guy as a compensatory pick in free agency. So if he left you in free agency next year, you maybe get a 5th for him. So you're sort of deciding.
That's it.
Yeah, because remember, the compensatory chart depends on how much he signs for, and right. And
I think he'd be a big time free agent.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
but I mean, maybe my
we don't
value
want
of
him
him
gone.
is
Neither
off.
one of us.
No, I don't
by the
want
way,
him
we
gone.
don't want him gone.
No, in all honesty, if the offer is a 4th round pick, I'm not moving him.
You're not.
I'm
moving
just not.
I wouldn't move him for a 4th. I'd let him play. I believe that you're going to see Hassan Reddick back on a new contract. Josh Sweat here on the last year of his contract, playing it out.
I think that's best case scenario. Right?
And you may get Pat if he's a big time free agent. You may get more draft compensation back for him than you drafted him if you let him walk next summer.
Yeah, that's why I'm not trading him for a 4th, because it's
right.
The odds of you replacing Josh Sweat's production in the fourth round, I mean, you basically have to hit on 2 fourth-round picks. The first one you already hit on, Josh Sweat, fourth round. And then to do it again, it's a tough ask. So I don't want to trade him for the sake of moving on from him, especially when I feel like a lot of these GMs, they'll trade, like a C.J. Gardner-Johnson is a good example of this. They'll trade C.J. Gardner-Johnson for the draft pick. They're doing it knowing full well that whatever he signs for, they're probably getting a similar draft pick. But they're doing it, and they're trading him for the draft pick now instead of waiting a year, is because they don't know if they'll be there in a year.
Yeah.
And they don't want to leave the next GM with picks that they acquired. Howie knows he'll be here in a year.
Yes.
Howie's job security is that where he doesn't have to make a move where you go, really? Like, that's all you got? Why didn't you just keep him? And you would have gotten that compensatory pick. Howie knows full well that he's going to be here. So to me, if you had a little bit of a defensive end room, I'd get it, but you just don't.
Tell us how cool, Bob, the Fanatic Knockout Tournament is, because you always, and it's weird because when I came here, one of the things you were like, this is a really cool night.
It is.
A lot of fun.
Look, not only do you get to watch one of the best teams in the league, the Clippers coming in that night because it's March 27th, I believe.
March 27th against the Clippers.
So you win tickets to watch the Clippers and Sixers play, which is going to be a good game. And then after the game, we go on the court, and you play knockout, and you have a chance to eliminate Pat Egan, or my daughter has a chance to eliminate whoever she wants because that's what she's done the last couple of years.
Explain knockout, because some people don't know what knockout is.
So you shoot a foul shot. If it goes in, you get the rebound. You give it back to the person behind you in line. If you miss it, you have to grab it and make a layup before the person behind you makes their foul shot. If they make their foul shot before you make your layup, you're knocked out.
You're out. You're knocked out. The tournament will be played after the Sixers-Clippers game on Wednesday, March 27th. Ironic. Do you remember what happened 2 years ago?
Yeah, it was
James Harden's debut.
Yeah, first game.
2 years ago was James Harden's debut.
That's right.
2 years later, it's James Harden's return with the Clippers. So after the game, you go to the game on us, you and a guest. Then you'll head to the court to battle your favorite Fanatic hosts in Knockout. It's always a lot of fun. Visit 975thefanatic.com for complete details, and you can also potentially get a chance to win. This is all presented by Ferguson HVAC, your Delaware Valley Train Heating and Air Conditioning distributor. Ferguson HVAC is a tremendous company. Visit train.com and find a dealer near you. But we're going to give you a chance to win now to get into Knockout. You can get in and you can bring a guest to watch you. Here's how you do it. Call right now, 215-263-0975. Brendan always sets it up to make sure that the YouTube viewers and everybody else gets their chance and has the little delay. So 215-263-0975 will be your chance to win tickets. You and a guest to come to watch the game, and then you will participate in the Knockout Tournament. It's absolutely fun. It's awesome, and you'll be a part of it thanks to Ferguson HVAC and everybody here at 97.5 The Fanatic. We look forward to seeing everybody on that night. All right, coming up, there is a new era of orange, and it was a new era of outrage the other night. John Kincade Show on The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Cox hangs him up. I'm Pat Egan. This Sports Update is brought to you by KFC. KFC's new smashed potato bowl is smashed with fries, mashed potatoes, cheese, and bacon, and it's only $3.49. It's finger-licking good.
Live from the Comcast Business Studios, powering possibilities. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com. The John Kincade Show with Bob Cooney and Pat Egan continues. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Kevin Miller is our knockout winner of the day from the John Kincade Show. You'll have more chances with Andrew Salchunas in middays and afternoons with the best show ever. So congratulations. We'll look forward to seeing Kevin on night. And you're going to have opportunities all week long to win tickets, to be a part of it.
It's a fun night.
It is going to be a great, great time, and look forward to that.
I wonder who Jenna's going to knock out this year, because the guy she knocked out the last 2 years isn't here anymore.
So go keep knocking people out.
Yeah, maybe I'll try to get behind Pat.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I got to go for work early, so that'd be fine if she wants to knock me out.
How about Ray Dunn?
No, Ray's too nice. Like, I don't want to see that.
By the way, Tom Alford's a machine in this.
He's good. Yeah, I think
he's a calm machine.
Look, a lot of us aren't very athletic, but we do have some. You know, we do have actually some, like, legitimate athletes. Tom's one of them. I just want to see Connor get knocked out because, you know, he's probably practicing for this thing.
He probably is.
He's probably going to the courts, and
I believe Connor claimed that he won the championship for a thing, and I'm like, but he didn't.
No, he didn't, but he claims that he did because he was the last person. He was the last person involved, and to tell you, I mean, Haley, I think, like, was
the second to last.
You know, it wasn't a great show. My point is, it wasn't a great showing for the Fanatic staff as a whole. After I just said how we're all athletic freaks and Adonises, but that particular year wasn't great. But Connor's peacocking around like I'm the champion. No, you're not.
No, there is no champion if you don't win it. If you win it, you're the champion.
And we by the way, we have had staff members. Mike Mergitt, first year. Producer here, legend of the station, okay?
Right.
He was kind of the Fletcher Cox, I would say, of the station. He gets in there, killer. I mean, just won the whole damn thing. At the time, the gift was an autographed basketball of the Sixers. It was the whole team, but it was during the process era, so there weren't a lot of notable. I mean, it was basically 75 different signatures on one ball, but none of them were good. Mike wins it, and he goes, you know what, I'll just give it to a kid. Does the right thing. But Mike represented the station, won the damn thing. And Connor comes in having no idea about the past because he doesn't appreciate the past. He doesn't know about Mike Mergitt. He's walking around going, oh, I won the thing. You didn't win the thing.
You didn't win.
You didn't win. Mike legitimately won the thing.
Now, Bill Colarulo from the weekends, he is all ready to – he says he's coming to win. Bill's got a little bit of Connor in him. A little bit of that
I don't know Bill a little bit. I talked to him for the first time last weekend, so I don't know.
Little shooting sleeve. Maybe action.
That means
I could see it. No, but I could see that. I could see Colarulo pulling out the shooting sleeve.
I would
love to see somebody go full Iverson, like the full Iverson look. But you need the pants
and everything.
Yeah, you need the shorts and the jersey, but you also need the headband, and the shooting sleeve would be epic.
It's going to be a fun time. So, the new era of orange is the slogan, and the Flyers. I can tell you, because I'm a dork. What did I do on the plane home? I created a schedule grid for all the teams that are in the mix for the playoff spot that the Flyers are competing with. And as I did the exercise, I said, oh, I think this team's making it. Whether it's a wild card or whether it's actually the third place team in their division, I don't know. In a matchup with Carolina, maybe one you'd prefer to avoid. But I could see, I'm seeing it happening from looking at the schedules. But the new era of orange has been more than a slogan. This team plays with an attitude. And John Tortorella gets suspended for 2 games. And, Pat, you're looking at it as a statement, that Tortorella sort of made a statement.
Every single year, all these teams come out with new slogans and their mantra for the year. And a lot of times it is nothing more than a PR gimmick.
Yes.
And I myself rolled my eyes when I heard new era of orange. And I thought, all right, I hope they didn't pay too much money for that. Not the most creative. I would like to see what was on the cutting room floor. But it turns out it was the most fitting thing that they probably could have chose for this current iteration. And I think the proof was on Saturday. And it's not just the fact that John Tortorella is losing his mind in a 4-0 hockey game. Because I could understand it in a 2-1 game, 2-2 tie. 4-0, you are done.
You're done.
You're not coming back. But he's not putting up with it. and he's losing his mind, and he gets suspended, and he's on the bench. If you haven't seen the cut, it's amazing.
It is good.
Because he's basically just telling Wes McCauley, who's an awesome ref, he's telling him, I'm not leaving. Like, he flat out pulled a Wolf of Wall Street and was like, I'm not effing leaving. They're going to have to take a wrecking ball to make me leave. Like, it was awesome to watch. And it was probably the only thing, if you were a Flyers fan, worth watching that entire game. But my point of the whole, like, new era of orange wasn't just him getting suspended for that and, him causing a fuss. It was Dan Hilferty, who is the CEO, I believe, of Comcast, coming out afterwards and saying, we're going to pay any fine, which he got fined $50K. We're going to pay any fine because we're having his back. And we appreciate what he brings to this organization. And, basically just like having your guys back, I think, was huge. That, to me, is a level of, like, new era of orange. The fact that Dan Hilferty went out, and we've been lucky to meet him a few times, and he's a great guy. He goes out and makes a public decree of, like, not only is this behavior acceptable, but we are going to pay the fine. I don't get the sense that John Tortorella goes, oh, okay, they're going to pay my fine so I can say whatever I want. And I think Dan Hilferty knows that. But I just felt like this is the backing that you need for an organization from top to bottom of, yeah, all right, busted call. We think it's ridiculous he was fined, but we're going to pay the fine because this truly is a new era of orange. I think this is a great thing for the future of this club. And it's a little thing. It's not major, but I didn't hear anybody else from the Flyers. Dave Scott, was that the old guy?
Yeah.
I didn't hear him coming out and, paying fines.
Showing that support.
Nope, not really. But the fact that you show the support of the head coach and the team and all that, I think it's a big step forward. So while I ripped the slogan, and by the way, I rip pretty much every slogan. But when I ripped the slogan,
you're not a big slogansman.
No, just my slogan is, did you win a championship? But it's true. Like, I really do feel like from top to bottom, there is a new era for this hockey team. And there was further proof of it Saturday night.
I love that because I first of all, huge Tortorella fan. So
I think that's clouding or sunning up your. If Rob Thompson did this in the middle of a game and got thrown out and acted in such a way that he got suspended for 2 games, what would your reaction be? You wouldn't say you loved it.
Well, I said is the behavior is still, it's supposed like quote unquote unacceptable. But to me, he was first of all, the calls were horrendous. It was anyone who knows the game of hockey watching that, it was horrendous. And there wasn't one call, it was numerous calls, and it was I would say a young referee is a fair assessment that was, I don't know, having an itchy trigger finger, and a veteran referee coming in and trying to cover for a young official who was completely over his skis. So absolutely, though, Bob, is that it depends on what you think of the leadership. And I don't put Rob Thompson with the resume of John Tortorella either. I don't like John Tortorella, one of the winningest coaches in the history of the NHL. I don't put Rob Thompson there in a year and a half. I can't compare the two as far as I'm going to give a little more.
You can compare actions.
Yeah. Oh no, you can't compare right.
If Rob Thompson did that, I can guarantee the show would have started today with you complaining about him. I think it's time and place. I think if there was a time and a place for this to happen, Tortorella may have picked the perfect time and place. Down 4-0, young team, trying to build a foundation. That all came into play. Hilferty does the great thing of saying, yeah, whatever they find him, I'm paying it.
I got it.
That's perfect. So the scenario came out well. The actions, you can question it.
And
like
I said, it's not like and it's whether you've coached the game or not at any level or otherwise. I never believed in taking a penalty or having anything that I did, my behavior on the bench, affect my teams. 2-minute minor my entire career. I don't believe, I think you shut your mouth, officials like that to the point that you're making yourself the spectacle.
Yeah.
So so that's certainly not the way I went about business at a much different level. But I love what John Tortorella's message is. He's having the back of his young players. And I think he loves this team. I think it tells you if he thought they were a load of crap, he wouldn't be that inspired. And I guarantee you that. That's 100%. If he thought that team, that roster was made up of a bunch of guys that he didn't believe in, he wouldn't have expounded the energy in that game to do that.
I took it a little differently. I just took it that he lost his stuff.
And he did.
I'm
and
not
he
kidding
absolutely
you.
did.
Like, I don't think it was, all right, I'm going to do this for my team. No, I think Tortorella, with the makeup that he has, I think he just lost his crap. And, the ramifications of it are like, it's like somebody does something, and they're not meaning to do it. And you're like, man, that was really good you did that. And then they step back. Yeah, it is. I think that's where he's at today. He's probably saying maybe to his team, I shouldn't act like that. Or maybe he's not. Maybe saying it to his wife, yeah, I shouldn't have done that, but I lost my crap. And now everybody's praising him for it because he lost his temper. I don't think there was I would love to talk to him about it. Maybe we will. I don't think so. I really don't.
9 o'clock hour is brought to you by the Bagster. It's a dumpster in a bag. You can get yours today at Home Depot and Lowe's, and for details, go to Bagster.com. So the news of the weekend was the Eagles are contemplating trading Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick. There's that little kid that sits in the car seat that goes, bull, sheesh, bull. Yeah, well, that kid should have been in this one. I don't believe it for a second. Here's another one I don't believe. I don't know. Do I believe the Eagles will have interest in Saquon Barkley? Yes. Do I believe the Eagles are saying, here's our big whiteboard, Saquon Barkley is our main target and the thing that we have to have in free agency? I do not. I am not there. When I got on the plane the other day and started to just read and check it out, I'm looking at it going, all this Saquon Barkley to the Eagles stuff, this would be completely counterculture. Even though I don't believe the investment would be that crazy. I don't believe that Saquon Barkley is going to just get one of these mega deals that would make it so stupid over what you'd have to pay like a DeAndre Swift back. I would rather have DeAndre Swift back. That's me. That's my choice. I'd rather have a cheaper option, a guy who I've already seen here, a guy who I like. But the Saquon Barkley stuff, when I'm reading it the other day, I'm like, okay, this would be completely counterculture to the Eagles we know.
Counterculture in what way? Because
Go
of the
on out
money?
And invest in a running back in free agency who has been numerously injured.
Yeah, we talked about this last week. If the money was the same, who would you rather have?
Oh, the money's the same?
If the money's the same, DeAndre Swift and Saquon Barkley. So even if there's a little bit of difference, you'd probably go with I'm okay with either one. Like, I like DeAndre Swift. I like the way he played. I don't even think they utilized him as much as they should have or could have. I'm okay with either one. Now, Saquon Barkley was brought into this league to be a star.
Yes.
He hasn't been that because of injuries and all of that. Does he reach that form again? I don't know. But if the money's the same as a DeAndre Swift, I could understand you trying to take a chance on that.
Oh, yeah. The only thing I'm really worried about is, honestly, is the injury history.
Right.
That concerns me big time.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to, I'm not concerned with DeAndre Swift being injured. Well, there's no reason to be concerned with DeAndre Swift.
Didn't he miss some games when he was with Detroit? Wasn't that a little bit of a concern?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. This was, I think, the first year he was fully healthy.
But he didn't miss. He wasn't a player where you're going, man, you're picking up the oft-injured DeAndre Swift. I mean, he's a guy that I'm still going to trust. I'm going to trust him more than I would trust that Saquon Barkley's going to be healthy. That's just me.
I think Barkley's injuries are probably more because of the star that he was supposed to be, right?
I mean, Swift played in 13 games out of 16 in 2020, 13 out of 17 in 2021, 14 out of 17 in 2022, 16 out of 17 last year, and the only reason he was out was because they kept him out of a game. I mean, he's not a guy. He's been
3-4 games a year. Think about that. If you're starting running back, isn't there 3 or 4 games a year? That's significant.
Yeah, it certainly isn't negligible. Let's put it that way. But you want to do the same thing with Saquon Barkley?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Saquon Barkley's is far worse, and so that's the idea there. Am I willing to take that risk? Pat, where did you fall on this Saquon stuff? And did it break early enough on Friday? Was that were you guys talking about it last week?
A little bit, not too much. I mean, I expect them to be in, quote unquote, on every running back. So the Eagles having interest on a premier running back, yeah, they have a need there. I'd expect that. So I didn't really put much stock into it because I expect them to have interest in Saquon Barkley, in Josh Jacobs, in DeAndre Swift, and Derrick Henry, and literally anybody who's on the open market that plays running back, I expect them to have a modicum of interest in. I think, to me, it's just a matter of how much are these guys going to cost, because I think there's going to be a decent amount that are still available in the second wave of free agency that have a number, like a Blake Snell or a Jordan Montgomery, very similar to that situation, and they're not getting that number. And eventually they're going to have to go, okay, well, at what point do I pick a good situation to go to versus the price? Now, is Philadelphia still a really good situation to go to now that Jason Kelce's gone? For a running back, probably not as good as it was, that's for sure. But I think it's still a viable destination if you're a running back looking to play behind a pretty decent offensive line.
The Bill Colarulo sends along, he's like, look, Saquon and Swift have played pretty much the same amount of games in the last 3 years. But you don't have DeAndre Swift. You don't have the injury history. You don't have the injury. You have missed games, but you don't have the ACL, which is a bigger deal.
Well, if you dive into the injury, yeah, the games
it's
played
a bigger deal, yeah.
Pretty much the same.
But the injury history is completely different. Soft tissue stuff and a torn ACL is completely different to me. Or a twisted ankle is completely different to me in that regard. What I like, if Saquon Barkley, if you tell me, Saquon Barkley, DeAndre Swift, same price, Saquon Barkley, I'm doing it. And if it's not...
How much of a different price are you willing to do?
I am not. I don't have a... with Howie in the cap, I have... As long as you're not breaking the bank, you're not setting some sort of a standard in running back contract.
Yeah, well, you know they're not doing that.
Well, then that's
you
fine.
You know they
then
won't,
I'm fine talking about it, discussing it, and considering that as an option. I don't know what you didn't see, though. What did you not see out of DeAndre Swift that they liked?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, seriously, DeAndre Swift had incredible numbers for them, and by the way, they didn't even use him stupidly in the first game of the year. So his numbers, he missed out on, 20 opportunities to even raise those numbers a little bit more. I would love to have DeAndre Swift back, a guy who wanted to be here, a guy who was excited to be here, and a guy who I thought he fit in perfectly. I just I don't understand what they could have. What they definitely would have wanted.
Yeah, so the thinking has to be, okay, can a Saquon Barkley bring you as much as DeAndre Swift did last year? I'm sure he could.
Absolutely he could.
Can he bring you more?
Absolutely he could.
Yeah.
He could.
Is that the most you can get out of DeAndre Swift, what you got last year?
I don't believe that for a second.
Might be close, though. It might be close. That's the most he's ever carried. It's the most he's ever rushed for. It was probably his best season. Yeah, we can talk about they didn't use him enough out of the backfield, throwing him the football.
And they didn't.
But Saquon Barkley, when he was brought into the league, was thought of that. He was thought to be, there was talk last week that we brought up about him getting back to being a Christian McCaffrey type of running back, where he's used that way out of the backfield, and he's used as an elite rusher. Barkley intrigues me, and I don't think anybody's breaking the bank on any running backs right now. I mean, that's just the way the NFL, their market has plummeted because nobody is looking at running back as a high-priced position anymore. So
if nobody's breaking the bank, though, why wouldn't Saquon Barkley be a Giant? Well, he's looking to break the bank.
Yeah, but nobody's going. Do you think anybody's going to do it? I think he wants out of there.
You just think he wants out. You think he wants a new opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, they tagged him last year. Maybe his feeling is, look, if I'm that good, why are you tagging me? Why aren't you signing me?
It could be, it could be like the feelings of, he could be up in his feelings a little bit about how they treated him.
Could be like Andy Reid here. The time's just run its course.
Terrell joins us on The Fanatic. Good morning, Tate.
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're doing well. What do you got on the Saquon Barkley thing?
I just want to say this. I agree with you on the fact that if the price is the same or, slightly different, I would take Saquon Barkley. And here's why. I think Saquon was running with a very terrible offensive line compared to, DeAndre Swift, who was running with probably the best that we ever seen in a decade, probably. And I think his numbers could be slightly better. And I think Bob was saying, Saquon's injuries came with, running with a bad line. Like, he had to do a lot more on a team that, had no wide receivers, there's no weapons. Like, he had to.
It is a position, though, that takes a big wear and tear. And I wonder about the fact is when does the wear and tear start to show as far as that's concerned? When is that going to start to show? Because you don't tear your ACL and then come back from it and just excel. Adrian Peterson, I guess, was the guy, right? The only one who ever.
Oh yeah, he tore his ACL, came back and won like MVP.
Well, he won. He came back early too. That
and
was
he came
the
back
big
and he was
talking
incredible.
Part. Yeah.
And but I mean, I don't think it's. I think it's a little bit rare.
Well, he did it in 2020, and he's had 2 1,300-yard rushing seasons since then.
And he's playing with a better offensive line here.
And he's a great blocker.
But a game,
I saw numbers on Saquon Barkley's blocking. It's incredible.
Which they value.
Which you should if you're paying $250 million to a quarterback.
And a game breaker, the one thing I'll give the total block, he is an absolute game breaker compared to DeAndre Swift. They both have tremendous talent. Mm-hmm. But Barkley's the better game breaker, if that was to come about. Do you think today we will see something in the legal tampering period? Saquon Barkley's going to be an Eagle. I do not. I don't believe that's going to happen.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Let's see what Nick has to say. Nick, good morning. You're on the Fanatic.
Gentlemen, good morning. How we doing?
Glad to hear from you. What's up, buddy?
All right, guys. I think the one aspect that stands out why they would want Barkley over Swift, I think what Swift lacked in, he was not very good in pass blocking in the offense. He kind of really was bad. And I think that's the key because Barkley's one of the best at it. And I feel the Eagles were looking for a back that can do that. And I think we were hurt that a lot within our backfield. They were just pass block.
Yeah, Nick, did you see those numbers? I know I saw them somewhere about Barkley's blocking ability, that he's like third among running backs, third best or something?
Yeah, he's one of the top guys. And like you guys, there's nothing. I mean, you guys laid it all out and everything, But I got to lean with Barkley to have an opportunity. I just think he's the better back, the better complete back. And also, they're saying that I don't know if this is just Eagles saying this, but they also were a little disappointed the way he handled the ball, catching the ball. But I never seen him get the ball thrown to him. So how do you know if he could catch?
Yeah, I think he can. I don't think they utilized him enough at all.
No, I really don't. But guys, one more thing I do want to say, and I want to pick up with Pat. Pat, don't get so stuck up with Reddick. He's really a one-trick pony. If you look at him he's one of the lowest defensive ends on stopping the run.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
He did less than 10 in the year.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, and I understand that. But you got to think of two things. Are you going to pay him $21 million and pay Sweat, let's say, $15 to $18 million? Both are kind of similar. So I agree with you. But I think it's only going to be Reddick they keep. I think they're moving Sweat. That's who I think they're moving.
I think they're going to keep him cheap. Now, Ben Parker says, "I like the impression farming you're doing there on the whole Swift. Whether you're keeping, the Reddick decision. Are they keeping Reddick? Are they keeping Sweat?" He goes, "Even though John Kincade has no sources on this." I said, "Ben, I do have sources. First person sourcing on it. My opinion, and my opinion is that they're keeping Reddick, and that has been my opinion since the beginning. That they're keeping Reddick. I think they did that the Eagles did exactly what they did with." The Phillies did with Aaron Nola, a player they love, a player they publicly love. Go find the best deal in the market. Let's see what we can do. Maybe we can come to a deal. You want to be here. We like you. Let's do it. And then I believe they will keep Josh Sweat.
Yeah,
that's my guess.
Nick laid it out probably the way that most feel. You're going to pay Reddick, and then are you going to pay another guy after this season a lot of money in Josh Sweat? Probably not. You're probably just going to find somebody in the draft this year that you plug and play. Maybe it's Nolan Smith, maybe other options, but I can't see the Eagles spending, 30, 40, 35, 40 million on 2 DNs. I just don't see that happening.
Tyler Cox brings up a good point. He says, might as well just keep Swift. No sense in spending money on Barkley when we don't use the running back anyway. I mean, all of a sudden, do we think that Nick Sirianni and the organization's offensive philosophy is going to wildly change because of the fact that they go get somebody? you want to share?
You've had 1,000-yard right now. 1,000 yards in 17 games doesn't mean all that
as much.
But it means you're trusting a running back to run that much. They've had, 11, 12, 13-yard, 100-yard rushers probably without looking it up. And even the last 5, 6 seasons, when it went from Miles Sanders to DeAndre Swift and whoever it may be coming up next, there is a little bit of reliability on the running back. It's not like it's not used at all.
You want to get in with a 610-632-0975 on this Saquon Barkley stuff, the Hassan Reddick discussion, the Josh Sweat trade rumors. It's going to be a busy day as legal, illegal activities go on. John Kincade Show on The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A lot of Eagles news. I'm Pat Egan. The Sports Update is brought to you by the BetParks app. When you open the BetParks app, you're in the zone. New users, win your first $10 bet, get $125 in sports bonus bets. Must be 21 in NP or New Jersey. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Yes, we do have a lot of Eagles news over the weekend. Well, we'll start off with Brandon Graham. He announced that he will be coming back on a one-year deal for his 15th and final season with the Birds. It will be the Brandon Graham Swan Song Tour. But while Graham will be back, Fletcher Cox will not be. Cox announced his retirement over the weekend. He was a 6-time Pro Bowler, first-team All-Pro, Super Bowl champion, lightly Canton bound. News also came out this weekend that the team is fielding offers on defensive end Josh Sweat. This is the same team that let edge rusher Hassan Reddick seek a trade earlier on the offseason. But Derek Gunn said he would be shocked to see both of them go.
I can't see them letting both of these guys just walk. I think they're going to stack the pluses and the minuses of letting one or the other get away based on whatever offers they're getting out there, and maybe let one get away at the most. But both of them, I'd be shocked if they let both of them get away.
That full interview is available now on 975thefanatic.com. Sixers picked up a win last night, defeating the Knicks 79-73. The team will look to make it 2-0 against New York in the month of March as they have to take on the Knicks again Tuesday night. And Tuesday night is the next time we'll see the Flyers as they prepare for a game against the Sharks, but they will be doing so without head coach John Tortorella, who was suspended 2 games after yelling at an official. I'm Pat Egan. Breaking news all day, every day is here. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Breaking sports news happens in Philly. We have you covered. Live updates, press conferences, insight, perspective, and your reaction. This is 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
I absolutely love the backyard paradise that we constructed with our friends from Landis Block and Concrete. John Kincade telling you about my friends at Landis Block. They're absolutely awesome. They have a gorgeous showroom in Souderton, Pennsylvania. And when I say showroom, they call it a store. It's a showroom. It's glorious. You can touch, you can feel, you can see all the different materials that can help you make up your amazing new backyard. I'm looking at mine right now on a backyard camera. We're having some trees installed today. I'm looking at the beautiful pillars with the undercarriage lighting in them, the cooking area, the eating area, the fire pit area. It's beautiful. The material's second to none. And when you deal with Landis Block, Jared and his entire team will help you find the perfect materials to create your vision. Christina etched ours on a piece of paper and said, this is what we're looking to build. And Tony, our contractor, was able to help put it together. If you don't have a contractor, Landis Block can find you one. LandisBC.com on the web. Check out their photo gallery. It's a Sam, he's not a free agent.
Under contract.
He's under contract. He's not going anywhere unless the Eagles say the deal's good enough and he's going anywhere. I believe he's staying. And I think that's been the plan all along. Just like I thought Aaron Nola would stay. And Aaron Nola was given the right to find a trade partner if he wanted. Look, setting the market is not a level of disrespect. And that's one of Sam's points to me. He said that the minute that the Eagles told him he could pursue a trade, they showed him a level of disrespect that he ignored the production that he gave them the last 2 years. I don't look at it that way. If Aaron Nola looked at it that way, he wouldn't be a Philadelphia Philly right now. It's a business. I mean, and trying to understand the business aspect of it is really difficult at times for all of us. But it's important to look at it that way. And these players know this. They know this is part of the game.
Sure.
And this is where he wants to be. He's already been 2 places before he's been here. He doesn't want to go to a 4th team. He's found his home at home, and he wants to be here. And the fans of this town really love him. So it's a perfect spot for him to be here.
Well, yeah, we say that. But if somebody offers him more money, guess what? That's his favorite place, and that's where he wants to be.
You think?
There's no denying. Like,
all right,
every
let's put it this way. If it came down to it was close. If the Eagles' offer was, how about this? The difference between spending on a Saquon Barkley and a DeAndre Swift, if that was the difference between paying Hassan Reddick and not paying him, do you think he'd leave just to say, for a marginal amount of money more than what the Eagles were offering and say, yeah, you know what, they disrespected me, so I'm leaving. I'm a believer that he's staying, so I don't think he's going to be walking out the door.
I don't know. If he wants more money, if he feels disrespected, then yeah, he'd be gone. What's the first thing players always say after they're traded? I understand it's a business.
Understand it's a business.
Well, if it's a business, are you taking a job with more money or aren't you?
You're taking it if you had the opportunity.
Yeah, I don't know what his allegiance is to the Eagles. Now, we all know he grew up around here, went to high school around here, went to Temple. You know, that's all great. And for us, it's really cool. And maybe we value it more than he does. You know, if some other team offers him $2 million extra a year, to us, that's nothing. That's marginal.
But for him, it might not be.
It's not for me either.
Not for me.
$2 million?
No, not for me.
Yeah, I think I'll take the extra money if I'm getting my ass, beat up every Sunday for 18 weeks. Sure, I'll take an extra $2 million for it.
Hey, Fanatic Mondays are presented by Pierce Phelps Bryant Heating and Air Conditioning Contractors. You can visit nopaybryant.com for flexible spending options on a new heating and cooling system. Tom in Alabama has marching orders for Howie Roseman. Tom, what are they?
Good morning, John. You go away for a week and everybody retires, man. You know?
Hey, as I was laying on a lounger all last week, I was thinking about it too. Absolutely awesome. I envy them.
I hear you. Hey, the thing about it is, Barkley, you talk about, he's from Whitehall, I believe. This makes too much sense because not only can he catch the ball in the middle of the field and talk about running a bubble screen, that's a guy that could do it. It would look like Westbrook and Deuce Staley, but he could block for Hurts, maybe pick up an extra half a second where he could read the blitz. But that's what right now they need to be. I know the defense, but right now is very critical for Hurts. They got to do whatever they can to help Hurts because this next year he's going to have so much pressure on him. It's another make or break season, so to speak, for him.
I like your thought process too about more time to maybe read the blitz, and maybe more time to be able to pick up a receiver, have somebody break open.
Yeah,
because of his blocking ability.
Because his confidence level in a pocket or last year wasn't all that great. I mean, we saw how many All-22 films of the pocket being like a perfect horseshoe. Exactly what you want out of it, just to step up and throw, and he decided to get out of it. So if you have another guy there, yeah, maybe that instills more confidence in him to stay in that pocket and be a good thrower there.
I like it. Look, the idea of Saquon Barkley is very intriguing to me.
Yeah, it's enticing. He's a really good player.
He's a really, really good player. I really did. Maybe I'm putting too much. Maybe I putting too much on DeAndre Swift. I really enjoyed watching him play last year.
It was you enjoyed watching him play because it was obviously he was good, but also for me it was knowing how cheap they got him for. And if you get Saquon Barkley or if you re-sign DeAndre Swift, it's not going to be cheap. Now, I think DeAndre Swift would be cheaper, but both of them are going to be at a pretty high price. So it's just a question of like, do you want to do that and allocate that possible cap space to a position that most don't value when your GM has proven the last couple of years that he's able to kind of take advantage of that market.
And when DeAndre Swift signs somewhere else, if he does, they're going to get a compensatory pick next year for him. How many did they pick up the other day?
3.
That's great. Third rounder and 2 fifths, I believe it was.
I know there was 1 fifth. Was it 2? I didn't know if it was 3rd, 5, and something else. But
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, not bad. It might have been 2 fifths.
That is awesome. I mean, it's they have a lot of flexibility here to do what they want. And God knows with the third-day draft picks, Howie Roseman has been able to use third-day draft picks to pick up veterans.
What rounds are third day?
Fourth.
Oh,
it begins with the fourth round.
Yeah.
Because
I'm always bad at that because
you got DeAndre Swift in third day.
You got him for a third-day pick. The first pick of the fourth round starts the third day.
Okay.
You do first-round pick on Thursday night, second and third-round picks are Friday night, and then you make it Saturday. Pat, I heard something. I'm going to go out to the NHL draft, by the way. And I heard that they're looking to extend the NHL draft next year into multiple days.
Oh, yeah, everybody's doing it. Baseball did it. Obviously, the NBA is looking to do it, too. And the NHL has done it. Like, it's pretty much just the first round is 1 day. And then after that, it's the second round and everything else. It's 2 days. I don't know why they would make it more than
And the NHL draft is much more, I don't know, it's a much more the crapshoot.
Yeah, it's a lot like baseball
right.
Because you got guys going to other areas, not going right to the pros, so you're not able to see, the immediate impact of a player. A lot of times these guys, if they're getting drafted, they're either staying overseas or like Mitchkov, or they're going to college, or they're staying in juniors for a year or two, and then they'll sign their pro contract. But I feel like a lot of times they rarely come in and immediately join the big club. They're usually going down to Lehigh Valley and playing a little bit in the AHL and get some seasoning. So most of the time you draft a kid and you don't see him for 2-3 years. That's normal. It's definitely though a nerd draft. Like I love it. I live for it. But I mean, if I had friends, I probably.
I think that's why I'm going. It's a nerd draft.
Yeah, it's. I mean,
where is it?
Vegas.
Yeah.
I think Bob figured out. End of June. Perfect.
I love it, but
yeah, it's a.
But I mean, I find I think I probably could count on one hand the amount of friends I have that will watch it, and I play in a lot of hockey leagues, and they're not checking in on it.
I'm gonna do.
And most of the time, you just don't know the players.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, unless it's a Bedard coming out or a Crosby back in the day, somebody talked about McDavid, then if people around this country, the majority know who the number one draft pick in the NHL is, that's an odd year.
I agree with that.
Oh yes. I was asked about I started to research because all I was seeing was the clutching of the pearls over the Flyers not trading Scott Lawton.
Really, I didn't see much. I didn't see any outrage.
And people going, they missed the opportunity on the rebuild, and this isn't what the rebuild was supposed to be, and everything. If someone doesn't offer you a great return, you're not going to trade somebody. And I think Danny Briere made it very clear. Scott Lawton, they look at as a very valuable part.
Scott Lawton is premium. I mean, the price tag should be very, very high on him.
And I think it was, and that's why they probably didn't get the deal.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I made the point before when we talked about the NHL trade deadline leading up to it. A lot of teams that are in a playoff hunt already have your top six solidified. You might need a right wing, a center, a left wing, one maybe. But really, a lot of these teams are looking for bottom six guys because they've already loaded up their top six. So they're looking for a Scott Lawton type that can kill penalties, that can be a little bit of an offensive threat on the bottom line. And because of that, a lot of times those guys go high. Like their price tag is high. And for Scott Lawton, who I think has 2 more years left on his contract, it should have been a very, very steep high price tag. And if you don't get it, you don't trade him for the sake of trading him.
And they may get it at the draft.
Yeah, you could get it. You keep fielding offers, but I mean, if you don't get the price tag you set, why would you do that? His value isn't going to go down.
No.
I mean, he kills penalties and he's a good teammate. And
I don't know honestly why everybody's so desperate to say trade him. I really don't.
I think it's because of what I just talked about, because the price tag would be high, so they figure, all right, well, if the price tag's, let's actually go full rebuild here and do it. But no, if your price tag is a first and second round pick and you're only getting offered a second round pick, then you don't do it. I mean, they made a horrible deal a couple years ago for Wayne Simmons.
Yes.
They just waited way too long to trade Wayne Simmons, and it was a trash return. And they probably could have gotten a second round pick for Wayne Simmons. They should have, and they didn't. And they botched it. They botched the market. They waited too long. And then Chuck Fletcher follows it up last year with, botching the market with James Van Riemsdyk. So
I was watching a feed on the plane home, and Chuck Fletcher. So the trade deadline's going on while we're like the recap and everything like that is going on when we're in the air. And Chuck Fletcher was the expert GM on the broadcast. Yeah, he was the one commenting.
Well, he's been in the room.
Yeah, I can confirm. He has been in the room.
He's been in the room.
Yeah, so I don't know if he's good in the room, but he's been in the room.
Why are you so insanely proud and wanting to brag on a child, Pat? I mean, because it's really, that's something that is I love hearing you do it.
Yeah,
if you're willing to do it. Is it your kid you're bragging on?
It is indeed my child. It is indeed.
The DNA test says it. It is. It is your child.
We haven't gotten the DNA test. It might not be my child, but...
Well, Maury will figure that out later.
So you guys are both dads and huge sports fans, and I'm wondering if there's ever been a moment in regards to sports that your child said something and it made you insanely proud, even though it's completely ridiculous. So my recent example of this was Jack had to go get Easter pictures taken, and I'm in the basement, and I overhear the conversation between Jack and my mom. And my mom is talking about the outfit she picked out, and I just hear Jack go, "I'm not wearing that." And, at first, as a parent, you're like, gee, all right, here we go. Like, Bratty Jack's here, and he's going to be a jerk. And then I hear him say, "It's Mets colors."
Oh!
And I just start screaming from the basement. I am so incredibly proud right now of my 5-year-old for refusing to wear blue and orange because it's the Mets.
So he wasn't being, he wasn't being sassy, bratty, disrespectful.
No. Mom went, yeah, you're right. I forgot about that because she knows my hatred of that team. And it was so stupid. It's such a stupid thing to get proud of. But, man, I was beaming in the basement. And I ran up there, gave him a hug and a high five. And said, that's right, bud. We don't wear Mets colors around here. I was pumped. Have you guys ever experienced that with your own kids where it was something so ridiculous, but it's like, you know what, damn it, I'm making an impact on this world.
I will always just go back to live in a private school down in Georgia where all the kids are all, the uppity Falcon fans, and the Falcons are in the Super Bowl. And the school puts out that everybody can wear their gear to celebrate Super Bowl Sunday on Friday at school. And Olivia was the only kid in the class of 22 that was wearing her Eagles gear at school. She refused to comply.
Damn right.
She would not wear an Eagles sweatshirt. She wouldn't wear a Falcons sweatshirt, Falcons jersey. She had teachers who made her literally go sit in the corner. They were hazing her, going like picking on her, just going like hazing. And they made her pose for a picture away from her classmates in her Eagles gear, her standing alone. And I was so freaking proud of her. And the next year, she saw a Super Bowl championship. But I love that she stood her ground and was like, I'm not wearing Falcon stuff. I don't want to wear a Falcons thing. You told me we can wear NFL gear is what it said.
That's cool.
So she wore her Eagles stuff.
Bob, you got anything?
You got 4 kids to be proud of.
I'll say
the
this.
fanhood thing.
The what?
The fanhood.
Yeah, like the fandom thing.
Wow. The proudness that I got that always sticks out in my mind, and it's with 3. Tommy didn't really play sports, so it's with the 3 of my kids, was when they did something really good, how they didn't say anything. Like my daughter Jenna, her very last soccer game in high school, she was named MVP of the game or something for her team in a championship game, even though they lost. You couldn't have told whether she was so upset they lost, she didn't care about that. Bobby, big hits in baseball and just put his head down while people were jumping on him and all that stuff. Didn't, get out of character at all.
Not one of these kids had a different DNA about that.
No, Kyle.
As
I
a
think,
competitor, that's interesting.
Yeah, like you saw the video, I think, right, Pat? Didn't we back in the day?
Yeah,
Kyle hit a game-winning shot in high school.
You would have thought it was the first quarter.
A buzzer beater, and the place goes nuts and stuff, and he just walks off the court.
Did he do like the Jay Wright walk-off?
I swear to God, he didn't. Right, Pat? He did not change emotion.
Well, he was waiting to see if the referees would overturn it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Too soon?
I appreciate that because that's where my first thing went. All right, they're the focus of something. How do they react?
I love that.
They're the, at that 1 second time, they're the star of this moment. How are they reacting? And all my kids just put their heads down. And we're happy that the team won or what happened for the team.
Pat, Bo on the story. What did he wear for the pictures?
I don't know. I haven't. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What did he wear?
Marlins colors. No, I don't know. I didn't bring him to the photo shoot.
Does he know? Would he be able to tell by colors teams that wear that color? Or is it just the Mets, the venom you've created towards the Mets?
Some of them, yes. Most of it is venom. He got really into baseball cards, and that's kind of how I'm trying to teach him the league. So he's pretty good at recognizing logos and knowing teams right away. And we broke up the baseball cards into two separate binders, so American League and National League. So I'm trying to teach him that way of the league and all that. And he's gotten a lot better with it. But like the other day, I mean, we were walking back from hitting baseballs at the park, and he just started going off about how we don't like the Mets, and the Mets are. I love it because he repeats me. He's a parrot, but he's like, the Mets are trash, and I was like, they are trash, bud. Like they're trash fan base and organization, and we have a neighbor on our block that has a vanity license plate that has like that they're a Mets fan.
Oh no!
So I just that's fine. I mean they're living in hell, but I felt like when I heard him say that, I felt like I was making a positive impact on the world by passing
the world.
Yeah, by passing that down. Yeah, because it's just a trash organization.
We are so privileged to know you.
I love
I think you
love
are.
that.
I am.
Jack's a little star though, so he's just charming. He's
all right.
I love that.
He is.
I mean,
I haven't had the privilege to meet young Riley yet, but he's got a pretty cool bigger brother.
He's the best baby from 7 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. and then he becomes the Antichrist.
Now, Bob, I had a question for you about fan decorum. So yesterday, I'm there to see one of my best friends. Their son plays for FAU, so I've been there all weekend watching FAU play hockey. They played Penn State. Penn State Harrisburg Collective. And so we're walking out after the game, a hard-fought 4-2 victory for FAU. And as the parents are walking out and they're merging, we're all exiting the rink, and Penn State parents are right next to FAU parents, and we're walking out. And every time we saw the Penn State parents, like, good game, good game, good game. And they were like, good game, good game, good game. Except for this one woman.
She didn't think it was a good game?
She was in front of me, and she's a Penn State fan. And she says, and good game to a Penn State dad. And he says, good game. She's in front of me, and she goes, your players are D-bags. And she didn't say D-bags. She turns to me and says, your players are D-bags. Well, first off, as if I'm a parent. And I'm just there being cordial going, good game, good game, good game, as people are walking out. And I said, aren't you a charmer? And she turns around and goes, I don't care what you think. And I said, it's obvious. That's very obvious. And this woman is just a salty mess. I recognized it from my years in hockey that moms sometimes can be the most ferocious in the crowd. But what do you think about that? People are saying there was no discord going on between the fan bases. And then one fan starts it with another parent. Did you encounter that a lot? Like, because I couldn't believe it. And I sort of laughed it. That's why I said to her, aren't you a charmer? And she got more pissed.
Yeah. I got in. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Did you ever have an encounter where you were being engaged like that? Where someone engaged with you, and how'd you handle it?
God,
Christina said I could have ignored her.
My most recent memory was watching a soccer game. I think it was one of my sons playing, a high school game. And the other team obviously better, even though they only won 1-0. But a kid making a move down the field, one of our kids fell down when he made the move, and a parent standing up going, damn, he broke his ankles. and I looked over and I go, yo, dude, sit down. That's a 16-year-old kid you're making fun of. Like, sit down. Like, I can't tolerate, if you want to call, tell me to shut up as a parent if I'm, whatever, and you're another parent, that's fine. I don't put down kids.
Yeah, don't get involved in that.
No, like, I'm not going to make fun of the way a kid plays or anything like that. Like, that's, but your kids are D-bags. Wow. That's a pretty
and she
bold
turned and looked me in the eye, and I'm like, and I'm literally saying, the only thing I said was, good game, good game, good game, nice game. Like, there was no negativity going on, and this woman's looking to get into a fight. Now, Christina was of the mindset that I could just have ignored her. I don't think you can ignore her. I don't think you ignore that.
She started it. It's not like
she started it, right? Yeah, but I could have been the better person.
I probably would have just laughed at her.
You would have laughed at her?
Yeah, I mean, what? I'm assuming the team you're cheering for won.
Yes, they won.
Yeah,
yes,
I would have laughed. I would have. Okay,
they did.
Sure.
By the way, the Penn State crew was really good. They were a good. They were a good team, scrappy team. They had a really. They had a goalie who was playing out of his butt. I mean, really, really good. And so it's fun to see the kids in there. And
what's your goalie's name again?
Rocco Bruno. From St. Joe's Prep. Rocco Bruno of Springfield, Pennsylvania, Delco. And great parents. And Rocco is 5'8".
141 pounds.
I know about that.
I swear to God, I looked it up.
You're kidding me.
It lists him as 5'8", 141 pounds. So basically, you have a hockey stick in goal for this team.
And he is how about this? He was the number one for his level of play. He was the number one goalie, first team. He's that good, and his technically sound for a goalie. And I know you could sit and you could look at it and go, okay, this guy, his angles, his aggressiveness, like technically sound. That's the number one thing I would always look for in a goalie. He was amazing. Like, to watch a kid be able to play his angles like that.
Yeah, that's. Hey, I got a couple men's league teams that will take him.
Oh, they'll kill for him. But he's going to try to win a national championship. They play Union College today in the quarterfinals.
That's the place where Gostisbehere went.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
They won the Final Four here.
Yeah, they won the national championship a couple years ago.
Florida's still alive.
That was here, right?
Florida's still alive. Tennessee is still alive. Clemson's still alive. So it should be pretty interesting down the stretch here. You say, Bob, that something's unfair in the NBA. What's unfair? I mean, other than the fact that Joel Embiid's injury has pretty much put an incredible damper on this season right now.
Yeah, and if Embiid was playing and the Sixers were playing, normal basketball and all that, I probably wouldn't look at this. But what is the deal with playing in New York back-to-back?
It's a travel concession to
yeah, it's New York. I understand if it's like Miami, some other Eastern Conference team that you have to play, you have to play more than once in a season. Sure, you're talking about an hour and a half bus ride.
Yes, or the train. It's just an hour on the train.
Like, why are you doing? And yeah, it sticks out even more now because the Sixers need these games. And they got. I said before yesterday's game, I'd be surprised if they got a split out of these two games. Well, they've already at least gotten that, which is great for them. But really, back-to-back in New York?
It doesn't make sense.
I didn't get it at all. Like, I don't know why. And New York's a good team this year. Didn't show it last night, and they're hurt by injury and all. But I just don't get how that's beneficial for anything. But yeah, you're right. There's times that they've played consecutive games in Charlotte or even further south. Okay, that lends into what you're saying, John. It takes longer for some of these players to get home than it does to get up to New York for a game. So what the hell? I just don't know what the NBA was thinking there.
And it could have been one of those ones where you got where you have the two visits, the 2 and 2 that you play in the conference.
And it's a busy
could have picked up.
Yeah, and it's a busy time for New York because they're going to be hosting college conferences and all of the things that are going on. But yeah, if these games really, really meant something to the Sixers, and they might with this play-in tournament and how they're falling, it just seems really odd that you got back-to-back up in New York.
All right, first move that we hear about in legal tampering day for the Philadelphia Eagles will come at what position? What position will we hear the first news break today on?
Secondary.
I agree, Pat.
Ooh, I think this Barkley thing's going to happen. And
I think
it's going to happen. Boom, that's your first. and then all the other things will fall. So, yeah, I'm going to go not only running back, I'll be specific and say Barkley.
A Saquon Barkley.
How about you guys? Have the nuts to say who it's going to be in the secondary.
I don't have
just
any
give me
nuts. It's a
secondary.
flashy patch down there. Thank you for asking, Bob.
You're welcome.
I don't have any. I'm not saying a name. Don't
Why
have
not?
one.
Say the name.
We laid out a bunch of names last week.
Don't have one.
You're feeling today. You're
Justin
not
Simmons.
feeling it today. Yeah, Justin Simmons. That's a big one-ty, is it? But will you getty?
He's a Fangio guy. He's 30 years old.
Right.
But probably your safest bet there. So Pat might not be far off, even though he didn't say his name.
We're looking forward to it. Andrew Salchunas will be monitoring all day long. They'll have the signing copter up in the air. So be able to check that with Tom Alvord. So be listening all day to The Fanatic. You don't want to miss a minute of it. Whether you're streaming or whether you're listening, be sure you check in often today. And the legal tampering period begins in the NFL. Support life-saving cancer research. Join us and our generous partner, Ron Davis and the Davis CPA Group, and make a donation to the American Association for Cancer Research. You can do it today at 975thefanatic.com/AACR, because cancer research saves lives. We look forward to having you join us tomorrow morning bright and early, but don't you dare leave the Fanatic today. So much stuff is going to be going on. We'll be all over it. Make it a great, great Monday, everybody.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Busy weekend. I'm Pat Egan. This sports update is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Protect your home and auto. Save when you bundle. Get a quote at Progressive.com. That's Progressive.com. Very busy weekend over the weekend for the Birds, as one of the all-time greats returns and another one hangs it up. Defensive end Brandon Graham announced that he will be coming back for his 15th and